Good evening. This is May 23rd. It's approximately 7 p.m. This is the meeting of the Hendersonville Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And appreciate everybody here. Appreciate everybody watching us online and on TV. We're going to begin our meeting as we typically do. That's with a prayer and pledge. Fortunately, tonight we have Frank Ross with us. He is a retired minister. I hesitate to say retired because Frank has been a minister and continues to be a minister in many, many ways for our community for a long, long time. Frank, will you lead us in prayer, please?
All right. Shall we pray? Lord God of the universe, creator of everything, we are so humbled that we can call you Father in addition to Lord, because you stand there beside us as one who desires to guide us, one who desires to hold us in the difficult times, one who desires to cheer us on. Father, we thank you that you are there. This evening, we're gathered here, representatives of our community, servants of our community, people who are citizens who live here and call this place home. We're all here for different reasons, Father. But mostly, Father, we are here because you have established here on this earth government. And here it is taking place. Your will is being done. Those ward aldermen who were elected, who have put their lives before the public to try to lead them and help them in their daily lives. We thank you for them, Father. For our mayor and all the staff that he has that helps guide this community in a different way. We thank you for them, Father. For our firemen who are here with us in abundance, which is great, Father. They are so important to us, and they have a special place in our heart. We pray for them, that you would keep them safe and bless them. And for our police officers, Father, that are here, they're important, so important to us, to keep us safe, to keep us fearless, because they have put their lives in front of us to stand before us and protect us. We thank you for them and pray your blessing upon them. But of all these people here gathered, Father, we pray your blessing. We know that you are faithful. As I was mowing my lawn this afternoon, I looked around me and I did not see a wasteland as I saw so many so many months ago when we suffered that flash freeze. But your spring has sprung. We have some casualties, but it seems like all the trees and flowers seem hardier than they were before. And Father, this evening, we wish that you would be with our aldermen and the mayor and all involved in this governance that's happening this evening, that they have wisdom in their decision making, that they look to you when they have questions about how to carry out what they're called to do. Thank you, Father, for them. And we pray, Father, that you would bless them with wisdom, but also help them to understand that they should go to you to find answers. We thank you, Father, for your continued presence in our lives in this great city of Hendersonville and this wonderful state that Miss Watts has sung to us about. We thank you for that blessing. And in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And I forgot to mention that Frank is also here doing double duty. He's also a member of our beautiful Hendersonville committee. So thank you so much, Frank. So please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Annette, will you call the roll, please?
Here.
Dixon. Here. Garden.
Here.
Garza.
Here.
Goodwin.
Here.
Martin. Peterson.
Here.
Robertson.
Here.
Sassy.
Here.
Skidmore.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Clary.
Here.
It's 11.
We've got 11 of us, okay, thank you. I'm going to entertain a motion that we accept the agenda, but I want y'all to notice that we're waiving the 2-week rule on item 3 and 4. Both those were considered by the Finance Committee a week ago. And also, we're going to group items 7 through 9. Actually, it says 6 through 8, but I want to make sure that we understand that it's items 7 through 9. So I'm going to entertain that motion. We have a motion from Alderman Skidmore and a second from Alderman Goodwin. Alderman Sassy?
Yes, Mayor, I was wanting to propose moving item 3 below item 5, so we could approve those items that affect the budget prior to voting on the budget.
We've got a second from Alderman Collins. Jesse, I might need your help on this. So item 5 about the fleet replacement, it doesn't actually affect next year's budget, or am I wrong about that?
It will not.
Okay, so, so the motion was to move item 3 below item 5.
So if that's the case, then move it below 4 would be the motion.
So below 4, okay. Alderman, oh, hold on one second, let me get back to you. Alderman, who seconded that? Alderman Collins? Do you want to do that? Do you want to move it below 4? Okay, so the motion is to, I guess, switch 3 and 4.
Correct.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you to, Alderman Sassy, I'm going to ask you to answer Alderman Waters' question. Why?
Because item 4 directly is affected by, or directly affects the budget, and so it's in the budget. So my thinking is we approve that ordinance that's already in the budget before we vote on the budget that it affects.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that at all.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion on that item? Let's go. Motion and a second to change the exchange 3 and 4. Any other discussion on that? Okay. I don't know how y'all are going to vote, so we'll do this by roll call. So. We're going to do the amendment on changing 3 and moving 3 where 4 is and 4 and 3. So if you're in favor of moving those, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no. Okay, go ahead, Alderman Robertson.
I'd like to hear if Mr. Waters would, his objection
Okay.
to that, because I don't see any, I'd like to know, maybe I'm missing something. Is there a reason why that you want to keep it like it is?
I don't think this moving these 2 items different places is going to affect the way we vote or the way we talk tonight. It's just anything to do with the agendas at all. That's my objection.
Appreciate Alderman Waters. Alderman Robertson.
Thank you.
Okay. Those in favor of moving these 2 items, vote aye. Those opposed, vote no.
Collins.
Aye.
Dixon. Aye. Garton.
Aye.
Garza. Goodwin. Aye. Peterson.
Aye.
Robertson.
Aye.
Sassy. Skidmore. Waters.
No.
Clary.
Aye. So that passes with majority vote. Any other discussion on the agenda? So all those in favor of approving the agenda as it was provided to you with that amendment, and also keeping in mind that we're waiving the 2-week rule on items 3 and 4, and we're grouping 7 through 9. You still have the opportunity to take that out of a group if you want to. All those in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Let's go to presentations. Ms. Watts, can I meet you right over here? Come over here. So those of you who are a few minutes early, had the opportunity to hear some wonderful singing. Let me tell you a little bit about Miss Watts. Whereas Debbie Mathis Watts is a retired educator, author, performer, and resident of Hendersonville, and remains very involved with her local community, and whereas Miss Watts has been competing in the Senior World Pageant, a pageant that brings women aged 50 to 79 together to boost confidence, have fun, make new friends, and allow mature women the outlet to share platform issues that are important to them for several years, and was recently named the 2023 Miss Senior World 70s pageant winner. And whereas Miss Watts has written a column for the local paper, written 2 books, and has also written and starred in 4 stage plays, including The Ryman Diaries, based on her book by the same name. And whereas in April 2023, Miss Watts' song, The Tennessee and Me, this is just a month ago, went before the state Senate and the state House and became the state of Tennessee's 12th official state song. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, the mayor of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do proclaim our appreciation to Debbie Mathis Watts and encourage the citizens of Hendersonville to recognize our distinguished resident for sharing her time and talents with our community. We thank you so much. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it so much. Thank you. You want to come up? So next we have Kathy Pascal. She is the chairman of Beautiful Hendersonville, and as she does once a month, she's going to tell us about some residents that have done fantastic work and some businesses that have done fantastic work for Hendersonville.
That's
Thank you,
right.
Kathy.
Thank you, Mayor and Aldermen. It's good to be here tonight to announce to you the most recent winners of the Neighborhood Beautification Awards. And we have Mr. Greg Yundell from Ace Hardware, who will also be presenting the gift cards that he does each month for us as I present the certificates. And our first one tonight is for our Business Award. And I don't see Mr. Coffey here, but this was for Sun Life Marina, Drakes Creek. That's all the way down at the end of Sanders Ferry Road. I don't know if you've had a chance to get down that way. It's not exactly on everyone's beaten path, but they've done a beautiful job there, and we really appreciate it. So that's our Business Award. And I'm not sure. We'll see. And then we have at 130 Riviera Drive, they are not able to be with us tonight either, John and Marcia Hicks, but they have done a beautiful job over there, the front and the back, and, you know, we're thinking about doing a garden tour at some point, and they just might be on that tour because it's a beautiful, beautiful job that they have there. So that's John and Marcia Hicks in Ward 1. And then in Ward 2, we have the Stockards here tonight. If you would please come up. So Sam and Diane Stockard, and they're at 223 Chival Drive. Thank you so much for your hard work and your efforts. We appreciate it so much. And Mr. Yundell has something for you there. Thank you. They're old friends there. So
Feel free.
in Ward 3 at 1387 Center Point Road, we have Doug and Arlene Beats, and I don't see them tonight, but again, it's a beautiful job, a ginormous front lawn there that's beautiful, well manicured, and the back as well, just kind of is a little secret garden there. So that's at Ward 3. We don't have a winner this time from Ward 4, so I hope that this next month we can really step up and get our nominations sent in. So for Ward 5, we have Stacy Green, and she's at 103 Compton Street, and she does all of this work herself. No help, she said, from anyone in her family, so she does a beautiful job there, and that's Stacy Green. So then in Ward 6, we have Kirk and Elizabeth George, and they're at 106 Doris Drive. Hi there, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. They've done a beautiful job, and again, I understand that the back of their house is just as gorgeous as the front, if not more so. So maybe that's our second garden tour. So thank you so much. We really appreciate all the efforts that you do and the contribution that you make to beautifying our city. Thank you so much.
All of y'all who are right up here, I want you to pay attention to Casey, who's walking up with her phone.
Yeah. Yes, yes. I'm sorry.
That was the business one. We did the business one.
There it was, yep. And then does the next one have the, okay. And just a reminder here that you can send in your nominations to beautiful@hvtn.org. So please send those nominations in. Thank you so much.
Kathy, thank you, and thank you all to the winners. Appreciate it. I'm going to entertain a motion that we accept the minutes that were provided to you in your packet from the May 9th meeting. We have a motion from Alderman Sassy, a second from Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes from May 9th that was provided to you in your packet, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have citizen comments. We have 3 people signed up. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes per person, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, not to aldermen, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with different views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. First person we have is Mr. Verbal from the Landings.
My name is Kenneth Verbal. I live at 110 The Landings, which is in Indian Lake Forest. Really, I'm here to thank the board for an ordinance that we already have in place that's being exercised against Airbnbs in residential areas. I know that I just happened to recently see an article, a complaint by John Evans, who lives on the far side of the other peninsula other than the peninsula I'm on, and that really encouraged me to get involved with the young people on our peninsula who are directly involved across the street from 540 Indian Lake Road, which is a commercial Airbnb advertised all over the whole United States. And what we're really worried about there more than anything else, after what we've seen going on over the entire nation, especially in Brentwood, this Brentwood involvement with what happened down there, having an Airbnb in a residential area. The police do an exceptionally good job in Hendersonville with all the motels and hotels and give immediate attention. But to drive all the way out to Indian Lake Forest, the police department would have some amount of time before they could respond, even though they do an extremely good job. But I think for us as a city to exercise the ordinance that we already have in place, which the individual that owns that property is bound, he has told all the residents there around his property that he's going to fight it legally. He thinks that our ordinance is illegal. And so enough of that said. But the other thing, I've lived here in Hendersonville since 1970. And I was just talking to Mark Skidmore earlier about what's gone on in this city and the leadership that's been there and how many of you people have given your time. And I'm so proud of every one of you and that you give your personal time to come here and take care of the involvement of this city in the lives of all the people here. And I'm so appreciative of each one of you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Verbal. Next, we have Jim Stocks of Downing Court.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jim Stocks. I live at 104 Downing Court. I'm here tonight to speak about ordinance 2023-12. When is a fee actually a tax? When politicians say it isn't. That was the title of a 2013 Forbes article about games politicians play to raise taxes, and it's particularly appropriate here. This proposal would raise taxes on the vast majority of Hendersonville residents by calling it a garbage fee that only homeowners pay, while at the same time cutting the underlying property tax to benefit commercial property and apartment owners. Excuse me. Indeed, by the city's own assessment, this plan will increase the tax bill for any homeowner whose property is appraised for tax purposes at $624,788 or less, which equals a market value of just over $1 million or less. In other words, almost every homeowner in almost every neighborhood in Hendersonville will see a tax increase. And because this proposal is regressive, the lower the appraised value of the home, the larger the homeowner's tax increase. That places a disproportionate burden upon young families, middle-class families, and senior citizens. So who's getting the tax cut? Where is most of the benefit going? It's going to large commercial property owners, those companies outside Tennessee who own big box stores, shopping centers, and apartment buildings. In fact, the proposal specifically excludes apartment building owners from having to pay this new fee. I've looked at some numbers, ward by ward. Mr. Chairman, is it fair to ask Mr. Waters and Mr. Robertson to vote to give the owners of Wessington House and Glenbrook Apartments a 17.4% tax cut when their neighbors would bear an increase over 40%? Is it fair for Mr. Skidmore and Mr. Bergdorf's constituents to accept 21 to 48% hikes, while the owners of Hickory Run Apartments and 1070 West Main see a 17.4% reduction? Is it fair for a neighbor of Mr. Martin to see a 55.9% increase? One of Mr. Peterson's a 30.2% increase, while the Lux at Indian Lake and the Grove at Waterford Crossing all receive cuts of 17.4%, worth thousands every year. And this is true for every alderman sitting here tonight. I simply ask, is it fair for them to ask their neighbors, the voters who elected them, to subsidize a tax cut for out-of-state companies like Walmart and Kroger and out-of-town owners of apartment complexes? This is the real world, real math impact of cutting the property tax rate, but then adding a $251 garbage fee to homeowners. And the implications go further because it's now a trash fee. Senior citizens can no longer use a property tax fee, freeze. Homeowners can no longer deduct it from their federal income taxes as part of their city taxes. And the city itself is limited in its ability to collect delinquent payment. Now, I know one of the arguments is this is a business-friendly proposition because commercial properties don't directly benefit from garbage collection. Well, they actually do. Think of all the products they sell that end up in the trash cans of Hendersonville homeowners. But in any event, we don't all have to directly receive the benefit of where our tax dollars go. It's called being part of the community and being a responsible, contributing member of that community. Just like all of us individual citizens who pay taxes for services we never directly use. Indeed, if that's your reasoning, perhaps a la carte payment should apply to everyone. And we should just go to a fee-based police and fire department where you're charged only if you use those services. So never had a problem, but suddenly have someone breaking in your home? Better have your credit card ready or no one's coming. See how absurd that is when you really think about it. Well, the part that really bothers me the most is that you're trying to do this under the guise that you're lowering taxes when in fact tax bills will go up for almost every Hendersonville homeowner.
Jim, 30 seconds.
If you're going to vote to increase the tax burden for homeowners, just say so. Own up to it. But don't try and convince people their tax obligations will go down, because they absolutely will not, unless they happen to own an apartment building. Thank you.
Thank you. Kay Brooks, Trousdale Drive.
Good evening.
I've been so proud of you these last several months. I want to thank you. It was a lot of hard work getting you here, so it's good to see the fruits of all that labor and y'all's labor. I'm speaking regarding Ordinance 2023-12, the Universal System of Domestic Garbage Collection and Disposal. I just have a few questions. Why are we attempting to separate the trash from property tax bills? Why now? Why now? Why not after the renegotiated contract next year, as Alderman Peterson suggested in the Finance Committee meeting? Currently, we are able to deduct our property tax bills on our federal income tax returns. Will this trash fee also be deductible? Currently, seniors may be eligible for a property tax freeze. Will they also be eligible for a trash fee freeze? Why is this better than residents directly contracting with trash haulers? Will the trash rate require the same legislative process as a property tax rate to be changed, or can it be changed by a bureaucrat? I urge you to send this back to the committee to have these questions answered before voting on it here in this body. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Finished citizens' comments. We don't have a consent agenda. We're down to ordinance and resolutions. The first one is second and final reading of ordinance 2023-09. This is an ordinance amending ordinance 2022-11. That's our budget ordinance for the current fiscal year, as amended to reflect adjustments to the city's 2023 fiscal year budget. We have a motion from Alderman Waters, a second from Alderman Dixon. I do want to propose one change that we talked about a couple weeks ago. We had some damage to three baseball softball diamonds that was not covered by insurance. So a couple weeks ago, we talked about Schedule A and Schedule B and moving some items from Schedule B over to Schedule A, and that was not one of the items. I think the total price tag for those were in the neighborhood of $60-something thousand. So I did not include it in my initial ordinance. But talked with Mr. Gilly, talked with Jesse, and we think that we can get the price down, not doing everything, down to $25,000. Again, this is for the current fiscal year budget, so it's not going to impact what we're talking about later on here, and it is money that is currently available through the general fund that has been unspent. We will still have a significant surplus from the current fiscal year, but this is, I would much rather do it sooner than later, and we're really in a situation where these fields will become almost unplayable, one of them definitely unplayable, pretty soon if we don't do some work. It's expensive, I get that. If we have any questions about it specifically, I'd suggest you address them to Mr. Gilly. But what I'm asking you to do is if you turn to page 12, you see Schedule A. And Jesse, I'm hoping you're following along to correct me if I'm doing anything wrong here. The second column where it says account name, it will be Parks infield material, and then under requested expenditure amendment, in the fourth column, $25,000. Justification will be washed away during storms, and it was not covered by insurance. We had initially thought that it would be, and we were told that it sort of after the claim and late, we were told that it would not be covered. Andy, can you come up here? We're probably gonna have a couple questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm making that motion, and Alderman Collins is seconding that. Alderman Sassy, do you want Andy up here? Okay, Andy, can you come help us out? Okay. So me and Collins. Okay.
So my first question isn't for Mr. Gilly. So will any of these other items be reduced due to this change?
These other items will not, but the item that we talked about 2 weeks ago that was $64,000 has been reduced. That's how we get to the 25.
Okay. So, Mr. Gilly, what exactly, can you lay out exactly what will be included in that $25,000? What are we paying for?
Sure. Anytime we have a storm like that, infield material, so it's not just plain old dirt. You have clay, then you have infield, it's called safe coat, and you have conditioner on top of that. If those things get washed away and the grading on the fields gets messed up, you have a rain out nearly every time it rains. Our insurance policy does not cover dirt or grass or infield material. It will cover fences, scoreboards, lights, contents, buildings, but when we have storms like that, if they wash away the dirt, they do not cover it.
And is this for one field, or how many fields is
With
this
that
for?
amount, we'll be able to redo 2 infields.
Is there more that need this work done?
Yes, sir, a lot more that are a lot more expensive. The two that this would cover would be about 12,500 apiece.
Okay, and how many fields do we have total?
Baseball and softball
Yeah,
fields?
baseball and softball.
We have 14 total. 3 at Veterans and 13 at Drakes Creek Park.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Sassy, thank you. Alderman Collins.
Mayor Clary, could you clarify when you said that there was a 60,000, but if we do it for 25, that's not everything? What does not everything
There-
mean?
There's one field that would cost us 39,000, just that individual field.
Okay, so we're reducing the number of fields, not the scope of the work.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, that 39 is tough. Getting 2 fields for 25, I thought was worth bringing it to you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on that item? We'll have Annette call the roll. When Annette calls your name, please say aye if you're in favor, or no if you're opposed.
Collins. Dixon. Garton. Garza. Goodwin. Peterson. Robertson. Sassy. Skidmore. Waters. Clary.
Aye. That passed unanimously. Thank you all. Now we're back on the main motion. This is second final reading of ordinance 2023-09. This is amending our current budget ordinance as amended. Any other discussion on this item? All in favor of second and final reading of ordinance 2023-09, please say aye at this time. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we're on item 2. This is first reading of ordinance 2023-10. This is an ordinance to amend Title 3, Chapter 3, Section 3-302 to establish reasonable court costs. Alderman Goodwin.
Yes, several people brought it to my attention that our court costs were lower than a lot of other surrounding cities, so I met with Mr. Ray.
Can you make that motion first?
Yeah,
Then we'll
make a
come back.
motion.
Okay. Need a second?
to-
Okay. And Alderman Dixon, second. Alderman Goodwin, back to you.
So I met with Mr. Ray, the current city judge, and several other of the, Judge Edwards, and we discussed the court cost, and we agreed to raise it $50 to make it go from $125 to $175.
Thank you. Any discussion? Alderman Sassy.
So reading through this, did a little research on it. So we're raising it from 125 to 175, so it's an increase of $50 for the court costs, correct? Now, it also is taking out a provision that limits or eliminates the ability for the judge to reduce that fee by half if they do public service. Is that correct?
Hold on one second. Go ahead, Alderman Goodwin.
Correct.
Why is that? Why are we eliminating that? Any idea?
Please.
So, I consulted with MTAS on this. MTAS had an opinion that that should not be in there, that, that could be inferred to be punitive. And the city court is not punitive in nature, it's civil in nature. In addition, there would be some that who couldn't perform public service that might be discriminatory towards them, so.
Mr. Ray, could you lean towards your?
Oh, yep,
Thank
sorry.
you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
All right. So MTAS was of the opinion that it shouldn't be in there for reasons that it could be discriminatory for people that couldn't do public service, and also that it could be considered punitive rather than civil in nature. So, good question.
Yeah, thank you for that. One more question.
Sure.
So section 1A, it talks about the municipal fines, and B is talking about traffic violation fines. Can you explain that a little further? I was having a really hard time understanding this, so if you could explain that portion to me.
A municipal fine that's not a traffic fine would be one for like a property code violation, and the Constitution prohibits any fine over $50.
Okay.
Does that help? Or did I answer your question?
So I actually looked this up. It actually says $500.
For a city fine?
Yeah, that you could have a maximum $500. It's 6-54-308, is that right? And I think this recently changed, honestly, because saw other places where it said 50, and I found this one where it said 500. Maybe it's something completely different, and I have it completely wrong. So you're the expert.
I believe it is, but I will confirm what that $500 is saying.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely, yes.
And then for the moving traffic violations shall not exceed $50 for each violation on the B section. What is that? Is that saying that moving violations, we can't ticket people more than $50?
That is correct. Except for, they also have to pay court costs and litigation taxes, and yes.
So when, let's say I get pulled over and the officer hands me a ticket for, 60 and a 30, and it's like $400 or something. Whoa. So never happened. I'm just using an example. So that's the major cost is the court cost, and we're just tacking on additional 50. Is that what that price tag is that the officer's handing me, or?
Yes, if you're in city court. Now, if it was a general sessions case, then the fines go up for those tickets.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Sassy, thank you. Alderman Goodwin, anything else?
That's it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of ordinance 2023-10, first reading, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we're on to item 4 because we flipped items 3 and 4. This is first reading of ordinance 2023-12. This is an ordinance imposing a fee in the amount of $251 for the purpose of funding the universal system of domestic garbage collection and disposal, and authorize its billing on the city's property tax notice. Also move. Alderman Bergdorf's not here. Second? Motion from Alderman Waters. Alderman Waters, go ahead. Second from Alderman Waters. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Tim, you took my thunder away, but I really appreciate what you said. On page 111, Board, I'm going to just read a little bit of what it says under the physical impact. Residential homes appraised below $624,000 plus will see an increase in costs when property taxes and trash rates are combined. Residential homes assessed above $624,000 plus will experience a decrease. Mayor, that just hurts my feelings, really. I'll be honest with you. When I read this, I become angry, and then again, I don't know. But we've lived on South Burn Drive since 1970. Our community and Colonial Acres has no way in this world would exceed $624,000. It's just no way. I oppose this. I highly recommend that we send it back to a committee, and let's rewrite and reoppose this thing tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Waters, thank you. Alderman Collins.
I have some questions based largely on the citizen comments that we heard. First, Mr. Stokes referenced limited ability to collect. And so I would like to ask Jesse or whomever, how would we collect the garbage fee?
How do we collect it if somebody didn't pay
Yes,
it?
if somebody pays their tax, property tax, but then they don't pay the garbage fee, do we just continue their garbage service? What do we?
Hold on 1 second. Jason, what do we need to do? There we go. Okay. Thank you, Alderman Collins. Go ahead, Alderman Collins.
Do I need to restate that?
I think we're good. I think they answered it.
Okay.
So part of your question is, state law would prohibit us from obtaining a lien or charging penalties or charging interest for uncollected trash collection, special assessments. That's what it's called. And how would we collect it? I have seen a city in the state create an offense for not paying your paying your special assessment for traffic. Golly.
Trash.
Trash.
I got you.
Alderman Sassy's got me over here on traffic, so, but I have seen that done where a city has created an offense for that and has fined it accordingly. But to answer your question, otherwise, I don't know that it could be collected other than a collection, but no interest, no penalties, and a lien couldn't be attached to it, to the property because of it.
Jess, you look like you have something to add.
Yeah.
Yeah, we currently don't collect property tax from everyone, and it's built into the rate now, and they still continue to get trash service. So there's a very small portion of the population who ends up paying late or they don't pay.
But we have the ability to put a lien eventually if someone doesn't pay their property tax. Yes?
In practice, yes.
Yes, that's true.
But we don't exercise that with regularity.
No. And we earn interest on the late payments for property tax. So actually, if people pay late and they end up paying, a lot of times, they end up paying more because they pay penalties and interest on that late payment. So currently, we don't go around to our waste collection vendor and tell them not to collect certain homes who aren't paying property taxes.
I'm just thinking back to, I think it was 2020, December of 2020, when
Let me ask you a question.
your trash wasn't picked up for 3 weeks, the same month that the bill would have gone out. And I think we would have had a lot of people not pay that bill. And we've had some issues with our service that might motivate people to be a little reluctant to pay that portion of the bill. That's something for another day, I suppose.
Hey, Alderman Collins, I want to throw another question, ask Lance to look this up.
Sure.
We currently have a stormwater fee on our tax bills, and I'm going to ask him to look and see if that's the same situation. Because we already have a fee on our tax bills.
That's right.
We're just adding a second one. So go ahead.
Okay, Ms. Brooks brought up, could this be changed by a bureaucrat, or does it come back to BOMA when the trash contract is renegotiated and the price changes?
If it's in an ordinance has to change it.
Okay.
So it would have to be this board.
And then the other question that she asked was, how is this better than the city allowing citizens to collect their trash through private vendors? My understanding is that let me flip to it, the Solid Waste Management Act of 1991 says that we can't do that, basically. We have to provide waste management services. Am I understanding that correctly? Under the first whereas, it says the Solid Waste Management Act of 1991 codified, blah, 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 declares that a comprehensive integrated program for solid waste management be instituted and maintained by local authorities, meaning we're required to provide garbage service. People can't opt out. If they hire a private contractor, it's in addition to the city's services. Am I understanding that properly?
So the issue of whether or not somebody could attempt to opt out, I think it's been established that they cannot if the special assessment is passed by the board.
And we can't just say, we're not providing this service as a city anymore because we are obligated to provide it. We can't just say garbage service, everybody's on their own.
True.
Okay.
You can't say that.
Okay. Those were
the clarifications I had. I know that there were many other questions asked, but I knew the answers to all but those three. So I appreciate the citizen comments and that you did ask questions that are thought-provoking for us. Thank you.
Alderman Collins, thank you. Alderman Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. And also, thank you for citizen comments. We appreciate that. We've talked during some of our budget workshops about accepting new contracts, and I think Jesse's alluded to that a few times about unknowing what those increases might be for the city, especially right now with inflation, and but more so to do with the trash contract, because we do offer backdoor service. And I know Waste Pro, I think we were their first foray into waste collection in the state, and they had never collected backdoor service. And I think it's a great service that we do offer. Going forward, I don't know if Waste Pro is going to want to renew their contract with us. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but also, I don't know who will bid on this contract. My point is, I hate to impose a $250 fee when we don't know what the contract is going to be next June. So what I would like to do is make an amendment to table this ordinance for 1 year until we get a new contract. And hopefully at that point, we can lock in the contract for 5 years, and this $250 will stay constant. But I just hesitate to charge $251, and then next year, we have to change that amount. I just don't think that's fair to the citizens, and I think that, you know, the city needs to be very transparent with this ordinance going forward.
So we have a motion and a second from Alderman Peterson and Alderman Sassy. I need to ask a clarifying question to Tamara. Tamara, if we don't have a garbage fee on the next ordinance, how much do we have to increase the tax rate? From 72 to what? Or 75 to what?
So on page 111 of the staff report, it says the current rate's .9187.
Okay.
That's a delta of .1607.
So we would have to change the next ordinance to go back to .91. Okay.
Yeah, so the rate would go up .1607 from what's in the current ordinance.
Otherwise, we have a deficit of $5 million, approximately.
Yeah, everything that's in the trash fund.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion on the motion to table? Alderman Peterson. Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Robertson. I was looking at one and clicking on another.
And this is on the motion. I do see advantage of transparency in itemizing the trash bill. I also see a problem with the equity of the way it is being proposed. So I have a couple of questions for our city attorney. I don't know why I call you general counsel, but our city attorney. I have a couple of questions. Under state law, Hendersonville has certain taxing authority, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is there any way that we can impose across the board, and when I say across the board, I'm talking about every business, every residence, a universal trash tax? And if you don't know the answer to that, you know, maybe we can get it for second reading, but I have a proposal, if we have the statutory authority to create a universal trash tax.
I do know that as far as a special assessment or a user fee of at least one town in Tennessee that has assessed that on commercial properties, and that was upheld by the circuit court. I would like to make sure that that's where it ended. For that issue, now can it obtain a special tax, an additional tax? I would have to make sure that my opinion is right before I said that. But I am aware of a city that levied the special assessment garbage collection fee to commercial properties that did not receive residential trash collection.
And would that, in that situation, since it was a tax, would it be deductible on a federal income tax?
If it was a tax, I do believe it would be, but I do not believe a special assessment.
So I think you see where I'm coming from. I would like for us to explore and maybe put off the amendment until the second reading. And I would like for the city attorney and for the staff to explore the possibility of imposing a universal tax, a universal garbage tax or trash tax, and for the staff to come up with a way that would be assessed. I mean, I can think of a couple of methodologies that might work in that regard, but again, trash is a little different, and let me tell you why it's a little different. In the budget that we're looking at tonight for '24, it represents a little over 12% of the operating budget. That's a huge price tag, and at the present time, there is an escalator, an automatic escalator that the company, and on our part, it's a good deal because it limits annual increases to 2.5%. Is that right, Mr. Eckenroth? So every year, our garbage bill goes up. And my concern is if we put an automatic escalator in our property tax to accommodate that fixed increase every year, that some citizens are going to say, well, this is big government, you're building government. But if we identify it, that the reason we're doing this is because it's for trash. It's not going for general government. It's going for a line item. It's earmarked. And so, you know, I think the ability to identify provides better transparency. It may also have a positive effect of people saying, well, the more trash I put out, the more that bill's going to go up, so I'm going to try to limit my trash. I'm going to try to maybe do more recycling. Now, that's a stretch, I agree. But still, it's a possibility that it's an incentive for people to try to produce less trash. If they know the more trash you have, the more the increase is going to be. Now, today in Public Works Committee, and I'm sure the chairman will talk about this in his report, we talked about trash. And we had someone from Waste Pro there. Folks, the amount of increase that we may be looking at is astronomical. Astronomical. So that's why I'm thinking of a universal trash tax that would tax businesses, apartments, because I agree with one of the speakers that having a good, clean trash service, it helps to beautify our city, and it even helps businesses and the like. So I hope that's generated some questions or some thoughts, but I would like for the maker of the motion to table that for this meeting, bring it back up at the next meeting, but let's have a report from the staff and from the city attorney on is this possible, and if it is, this is what it would be. If that's possible, this $251 that is currently on the books that would be assessed will go down. It will go down because it will be spread out among a larger, a larger set or a universe. The universe will be larger. So that's my idea, so that's my discussion on the motion. I would hope that would be, that would generate some interest and that we would not move right now to kill this, but we got plenty of time on the second reading to kill it if none of this is possible. But let's look at it methodically, let's look at it legally, and let's see if this solution might work.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Dixon. Oh, hold on, I'm sorry, just one second here. I got to turn, there we go. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question for the discussion on the motion. So you're suggesting, Alderman Roberson, that we tax businesses as we do today, but broken out in a separate tax. You are, let me be very clear, you are not looking at actually picking up any commercial trash. So we will be taxing local business owners, big box store owners as well, for a service that we would not be providing for them.
Alderman Robertson, do you want to address that?
Yeah, and the rationale is for the public interest. You know, there are businesses that never use fire service, but there's fire service available. So we ask them to pay for fire service. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find some middle ground.
I understand, and I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, I would not be proposing that we begin trash service for apartments and for businesses, but that it's in the public interest that they help support that service for the residents of the city.
Thank you.
Alderman Dixon, anything else?
That's
Thank
it.
you, Alderman Dixon. Thank you, Alderman Robertson. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Robertson, I just want to continue on that discussion. So one of the purposes of this ordinance was for transparency of waste collection services. But if we're adding a separate line item for these businesses and apartments that says trash tax, that's not very transparent to them. And so in my mind, for me, that is not for that specific purpose, that is not the path that I would want to go. Because it actually it's kind of misleading to them. You made the example that, you know, they paid for fire service, and they may never use it, but it's there for them. Well, they're paying for trash service, but it's not available for them to use. So it's not an apples to apples comparison. And so for me, it just doesn't make sense. And I just wanted to make that clarification. Thank you.
Can you all hold on 1 second? I need to clarify a little bit. So your motion was to table. Typically in these situations, we have a motion to defer. So your motion to table means that it is not going to be considered until this body votes to consider it. A motion to defer typically comes with a timeline that let's defer it for 2 weeks, let's defer it for a month, whatever. So I want to be clear. Do you want a motion to table or a motion to defer for 2 weeks?
Thank you. I will clarify, and I would like to defer till the next meeting. Okay. So and that way we have all the aldermen in attendance, because I want everyone's input on this. So I will withdraw my amendment.
Okay. And make a motion to defer, or should we just go back?
Motion to defer.
Until our next meeting?
Yeah, because we can just defer until the next meeting.
Okay. So Alderman Sassy, you made a second on that.
Does that mean we need to also defer?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Does that mean we also need to defer the budget discussion?
We could still discuss the budget. The problem is that we're not funding garbage service, which means that we'd have to change some of the items in the budget to reflect that we now have an additional $5 million in deficit.
So that's another question for you on that. Why do we have a $5 million in deficit? Because our tax rate is still 0.91 until we vote to lower it with this amendment, or with this ordinance.
In the budget ordinance is the tax rate of 0.75. Yeah,
So we would have to adjust the budget back to the 0.91.
exactly, that's asking Jesse.
But we can do that on our next,
We can do that.
yeah, so we can make that amendment to, that's the direction I actually still would like to, if I need to take up that amendment, I would like to defer this for,
Okay.
until April.
Okay,
but-
so Alderman Peterson made a motion to defer it till the next meeting. You can second that or not, but I've got to give somebody time to second
Yeah,
that if you choose not to.
I don't second that.
Okay, would anybody like to defer, would like to second that motion to defer this, this ordinance for 2 weeks? Okay, Alderman Robertson, okay. So now we have, now what we're discussing and we're considering is a motion to defer item number 4, the universal garbage fee of $251 for 2 weeks. Alderman Dixon.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay. Does anybody else wish to speak on this? So Alderman Sassy, I'm gonna turn your light off at least for a little bit, okay? I'd take care of that. Alderman Peterson, okay, we're gonna do the same thing there, okay? Any discussion on that motion to defer this for 2 weeks? Okay. Call the roll, please, Ned.
Collins? Dixon? Yes. Garten? Yes. Garza? Goodwin? Yes. Martin, oh, sorry, Peterson?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Sassy?
No.
Skidmore?
Yes.
Waters? Clary?
No.
So, 7.
So that passes with majority vote. So we are no longer considering item number 4. We will bring that up in 2 weeks. So now we're on item number 3. This is first reading of ordinance 2023-11. This is an ordinance for the city of Hendersonville adopting an annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending July 30th, 2024. I so move. And we have we'll let Mr. Waters make the motion and a second from Alderman Dixon. Alderman Sassy, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
I'm sorry, Alderman Waters.
Oh,
He looked at me like.
You hurt my feelings again.
shot him in the arm.
Who's got it?
Alderman Waters, go ahead.
Thank you,
We'll
Mayor.
come back to you.
I missed my clock up there. You can tell I'm not a smart person because I do all my writing here to tell you people how I feel. I don't have the luxury of the computer. So, Mayor, I want to be sure I understand there's no vote on this budget, on this item tonight. We're only going to vote on amendment, right?
No, we're gonna vote, right now, we are considering the budget for the city for next fiscal year and the tax rate, which does not fully fund the budget for next year. At this time.
What?
I don't understand that.
No.
So we have a budget that relies on several revenue streams. One of those revenue streams is the trash fee,
The what?
is the trash fee. That was one of the revenue streams that this budget relied on. We just gave up $5 million in revenue.
So you're saying, and I could have swore.
Excuse me,
I
Jesse,
could've-
Tamara, am I correct on that? Okay.
Go ahead.
I didn't explain that well.
So a motion to defer means that it didn't move.
Right, okay?
So if it didn't move, it has no effect. So if it has no effect, then this budget that is being proposed is the budget we have in front of us.
It is, but this budget in front of us has a tax rate of 0.7756.
Yeah.
Right?
So, which,
With the garbage fee.
without a garbage fee.
Why without the garbage fee?
Because because the garbage fee is in a separate ordinance, and we just deferred that.
All right, get back to my question.
Go ahead, Alderman Waters. And keep in mind, this is first reading for both of them.
Thank you, thank you. So we're not gonna vote on the budget tonight.
We are right now considering the budget. We're at a the tax rate at 0.756.
Okay, we're gonna vote on the budget and we can make amendments, right?
We can.
Well, thank you. Here I go. I want to discuss some things that, in the budget, then I do have an amendment. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
I'll start saying the budget we have before us. It's gonna be a tight budget, but it is manageable. Everyone here knows that inflation is here, and it's real, and it will make a high impact on our budget. We recall that Social Security and COLA was at 8.7% last year, but thanks to our mayor and chief of staff, they reduced the city's portion down to 6%. Am I correct, Mayor?
Yes, I proposed a 6% cost of living allowance for all our employees.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm not smart, I just made myself a note, I'm not smart enough to figure that out, but you just did. But it's still one of our largest adjustments. We still have a noticeable impact based on next year Social Security and so forth, right? That's something we're gonna have to face and accept. Am I right?
You lost me a little bit. What were you asking me?
That's okay.
Okay.
I want to look at some other possible increases that we need to keep in mind. Salary for our employees, and we know that's separate from COLA and Social Security increases. In our general committee meeting back on May the 9th, we had a representative from JER group come in and discuss job classifications and compensation study pay tables. It's a plan that will facilitate recruitment and improve our efficiency in each department. The mayor, our chief of staff, our department directors, the employees are the key to running our city. I came away from the JER meeting feeling our greatest asset is our employees, and I do mean all employees. And we must honor them with a good salary and a good retirement model. With that being said, as I looked over the JER study report, I could not believe the classification and compensation study that they presented when they was comparing city to city in regard to our first responders. First responders. Example, cities like Gallatin and Smyrna, if my research is correct, paying their fire chief more than we are. I hope I read that right. And they're a long ways from being as large as Hendersonville, I think, in my study. And on the same JER report, Smyrna police, Springfield police officers, from uncertified all the way up to lieutenant, are paid more than the Hendersonville Police Department. In my opinion, that's the reason we're losing so many first responders and employees. But saying this, I recall the wording, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And that's the mayor's changes made to the budget since our last meeting. The only concern I have on one item is the raise to our police department going to be enough to justify what the FBI quota says that we should have based on our population. I want to look down to the changes the mayor made in the budget since our last meeting. Let's go to salaries and benefit updates. Third item down. Added $430,000 to HPD salaries for pay study increase. 2.5% for lieutenant, 5% for sergeants and below, The increase for PD salaries was a result of the pay study that showed the police department under the market pay by 10.7%.
Hold on, Alderman Skidmore, go ahead.
Yeah, just thank you. Could you direct me to where you're looking at this in the information? What page?
First page.
Tamara, do you know where he is?
Yeah, it's,
Or Alderman Robertson?
Do you not have this?
yeah, it's,
In our packet, Alderman Robertson.
yeah, it's in our packet.
Yeah.
Right.
It shows the police and fire, the market where they, it's on page 42 for the police
Okay, hold on.
of the study.
Which is actually on tab 5.
Right.
Okay, I got it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
got it?
I'm sorry, Jim.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
And the fire is 43.
43.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Fire is 43, right?
okay. Thank you. Alderman Waters, go ahead.
All right, but getting back to what I just said, 10.7%. But you're.
Alderman Waters, I'm sorry, we still have some people that are having a hard time finding it. So it's behind tab, is it, Alderman Robertson's behind tab 4?
Well, I'm looking at the staff report dated May the 9th, which it's a copy of the study, the pay study.
Okay.
I don't know if it was included in, I had it as a separate attachment.
Is that, Jesse and Tamara, was that included in this?
No, it's right here.
It wasn't, okay.
No, it
So-
wasn't.
Okay, so we don't have it in this packet. Okay.
I'm simply reading what the mayor sent out to everybody,
Right.
the changes you made from our last meeting. That's all I'm reading.
That was an email. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Waters.
Thank you. Has everybody got a copy?
No.
You have a copy?
But
Okay.
go ahead.
Getting back to my train of thought, the proposal was to bring our police department close to the mandate average. We know that our city is growing by leaps and bounds. And over the last 3 years, I've had calls from my veteran friends in Durham Farms about families moving into Durham Farms subdivision. The last call I got back in April, we have 14 new veteran families in Durham Farms. That's just veterans, that's not the other people. I credit that to our new fire hall off Drake's Creek. It makes a big difference, not only to Durham Farms, but to other locations. One more comment, Mr. Chairman, and I'll direct this to our city attorney. Have we made any progress on the ordinance to reform the referendum to the state in regard to the sales tax?
That's something that we just talked about in Finance Committee, and we don't need the state's permission. It would have to pass this board and then go on a referendum. So we can bring that, any one of us can bring that up anytime.
Anytime? Okay.
We're happy to ask Lance to prepare an ordinance to do that.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, that sort of wraps up my comments, and I truly believe we're on the right track. I really do. With that being said, I have one amendment, if I may. I ask the board to turn to page 80 under the previously budget continued project. Everybody with me?
Yep.
You want a copy? Got it? Everybody got it? Yeah. Okay, page 80. Let's go down to Saundersville LIC exit 8.
Okay.
For year 2013 budget as amended. $2,965,942. The next item, estimated use at fiscal year 2023 year end was $72,113. I understand that one. The next one is remaining budget, project budget, $2,893,829. Again, I understand that one. Now, this additional dollar request of $2 million, I need some help on that, Mayor, or who can help me?
Let's ask Jesse and Tamara.
Anybody?
Or Sarah?
Come on up, Sarah.
It's a $2 million additional dollar request. I just don't understand what that's for.
That's in anticipation of purchasing right of way for the project. So acquiring the property to be able to construct it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We got to start somewhere. Okay. Total proposed budget, fiscal year 2024, $4,893,829. I understand that. That's okay. Revenue to roll forward, $1,500,000. That's where I needed some more help. Okay, Jesse.
So one of the things that we changed about this year's budget was giving BOMA the ability to see every single project and every dollar that BOMA was going to be approving. In years past, if a budget was approved, we would just kind of earmark those funds and we would spend dollars in a fiscal year, and maybe BOMA never saw that. Like, we have a new board here. So if the board had approved dollars in years past, we would be able to spend them this year. So instead of doing that, we wanted to show BOMA every dollar we were going to spend on projects. Now, some of these projects have a revenue reimbursement. So if it's a federal grant, then we have revenue that's associated with that we had previously budgeted in last year's budget. Mm-hmm. So when we're going to bring expenses forward, saying last year, for example, we budgeted $1 million and we spent $500,000, we want to show you that we're going to spend $500,000 this year as well. But what's tagged to that is the revenue reimbursement. So if we were going to receive $400,000 on that $500,000, we're also showing that revenue is rolling forward.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. The next item says 2024 anticipated revenue of $1,700,000, and it says resource, it's a state. Can you help me out on that one?
Which project are you referring to?
So,
pardon me?
Yeah, about a third of the way down, Saundersville LIC exit 8. It's a blue horizontal line going all the way across.
$1,700,000. Revenue source says state.
Yeah, so the state partnered with us. They gave us $2 million. So we're going to spend $4 million. They're going to give us $2 million. So we're going to receive some of those funds this year. We're anticipating that we're going to receive $1.7 million. I think some are funds from expenditures this year that we will recognize next year, because that's when we'll receive the funds. In addition, next year we're going to spend monies that we're going to get reimbursed on. So it is revenue recognition plus a reimbursement of expenditures for next fiscal year.
So we're up to how much? 6 million, did you say?
I did not say that.
You didn't?
No, sir. It says that there's revenue of 1.7, anticipated revenue in fiscal year 24 for Saundersville LIC exit 8.
But the only revenue source we've got so far is the state. Is that what you're saying? 1,700,000?
Correct. The state is the only source that we have as of today.
Do we have any other resources that we're anticipating?
We're trying. We think we have more money coming from the state, and as of last night, we moved forward with a committee vote that is going to provide probably about $3 million from the county.
3 million.
Just a committee vote, that's all it was.
It's just a committee vote. That's not a sure thing.
Right.
The bottom line is, from what I've read here and what I've been told tonight, we're a long ways from $28 million on this project, or even higher. I think that's what we started out saying, 28 million. We're way, way, way. There's one, I think I spoke to either Jess or the mayor about this NOFO program. Have you, either one, been able to check into that? I don't know whether they'll help us. I don't know whether they do work like that kind of work or not. But it's worth looking into. NOFO, I don't know what it stands for. I just read it.
Yes, sir. I believe that's a notice of funding opportunity. And we have our economic development and community planner, Jay, from our planning department. He actively researches all the grants. So that was sent to him, and he is looking into it.
He's working. Okay. Mayor, I'm gonna make an amendment. This project needs to be tabled to 24-25 budget time. That's my amendment. I so move. Thank you.
So when you say tabled, do you mean removed from this budget?
Right.
Okay, so you're making a motion that we remove that line from this budget,
Yes, sir.
and we have a second from Alderman Sassy, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna speak on that real quickly. So the situation we have is that, 16, 18 years ago, the city accepted an obligation. Very few of us were here then. Accepted an obligation that Tennessee Department of Transportation and CSX said that we had to close that at-grade crossing. Gradually, the state agreed to a tunnel project, and CSX has approved that. Tennessee Department of Transportation have approved that. At the same time, we have other TDOT projects that we are other projects that we are partners with TDOT in Hendersonville. TDOT has already spent some money on this project, so have we. If we choose not to complete this project, TDOT is not likely to continue to partner with us, and TDOT will also expect us to pay them back for the engineering cost and for the property acquisition and for any of the studies they've done on this.
They give us a time limit on something like that?
They have not.
And I'm going to say, we've been 18 years on the intersection of Walton Fair and Old Shackle. That's apples to me. So I don't think they would pull out, but that's just my opinion, Mayor.
I'm pretty sure the county would, though.
Sir?
I'm pretty sure the county would. Last night met with them and their committee, and they see the need for this, and they see the need for county residents outside Hendersonville to use this. And that's with the understanding that we're going to acquire property and begin construction as soon as possible after it.
My motion still stands to table it to the 24-25 budget.
I appreciate it. So so actually remove it from the budget.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we need to speak just on that. I've got a couple people lit up here. So the conversation now needs to be just about that one item, okay? Let me look, Alderman Sassy on that item? Okay. Alderman Dixon on that item? Okay. Alderman Robertson on that item? Alderman Robertson, go ahead.
I rise to speak against the motion for this reason. The mayor has worked diligently and hard in trying to obtain additional support. Our city needs something done at Exit 8. The traffic is horrible. It's almost dangerous to the point. And so we've had two mayors we've had a mayor a previous mayor that sent 2 letters into the state that committed the city for this project. So if we table it at this time, all of the good efforts of the mayor in trying to find financial resources, which he's already come up with 3 million, that's a drop in the bucket. I agree with that statement. But let's not kill this project, because if we table it, if we take this out of the budget, the mayor's efforts at the federal level, at the state level, at possibly GNRC trying to help fund this, they go poof. They're gone. So I will say that the Capital Projects Committee has discussed this, and what we have instructed the staff to do is to not move forward with the purchase of right-of-way on this project until we have more clarification, positive affirmation of grants coming. So I can assure you, I do not believe that the Capital Projects Committee would move forward on this until we got more money. We've gotten 3 so far. We've got some commitments maybe that the state will provide more help. So let's not do anything hasty. Let's leave this in the budget. Let's see how it works out. Let's let the mayor continue to lobby. Let's look for additional resources, because one day, it's my firm belief, one day we're going to have to do something at Exit 8. We have 2 aldermen that represent Ward 5 that they hear about that complaint all the time. So I know that they would be disappointed. So let's not shoot ourselves in the foot. Let's wait. Let's give the mayor more time. Let's leave this in the budget, and let's see how it goes. And I'll assure you that the Capital Projects Committee will be diligent and will be thorough in making sure that we don't move forward in spending money until we have assurances of more help, and we bring back to this board for action and information purposes that we recommend to move forward on this project because of the additional grants that we've gotten. So I hope the motion maker and the second would consider my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Skidmore, I had your light on. Is it to speak on this?
No, I don't know how, I must have hit it accidentally, and I apologize. But this has been very interesting discourse tonight. I will say that. And I'll probably have some comments later on. But parliamentary procedure speaking, if I spoke how I feel right now, I would be out of order. So I don't know how, maybe it was the ghost of City Hall that punched that, urging me to say what I wanted to say. So I'm telling that ghost, not yet.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. So we're being proposed with a budget in total, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, of about $81 million. Is that right?
No, hold on, Tamara. So keep in mind, we actually have 4 budgets that have to all come under one budget, and so that's part of the confusion there. And Tamara's doing some, Jesse, you want to do it? Huh?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So $81 million, which is about a $22 million increase over what we have this year. Is that right? Is that, please, my math is so bad, so please check that. But where I'm going with that, and when you have that, just let me know. We just gave our employees our #1 asset, mind you, that we've all talked about. We all agree with that. They're the #1 asset. We're giving them a 6% COLA plus their annual 2.5. The police were giving an even higher bump, so we can level them off to be more competitive. Did you find it, Tamara?
Yeah, compared to the original budget from last year, our expenditures are roughly 6.6 million more proposed
Oh,
in
6
this
million,
budget.
okay.
Yes,
And that's compared to the original budget.
That's
We've since actually added some items, so.
absolutely, yeah, we added about just over, like 3.3
6.6.
million in the mid-year budget.
Okay, thank you. This next year is going to have a lot of uncertainty. Frankly, I'm a little nervous about what we're already seeing the trending in our financial reporting in the finance committee. We're seeing a trend of those dollars, those increases go down. We saw a period of great increases over 10%, 12% sometimes. Now it's starting to trickle down. Each month after month, it's going down to 9-8% increase over last year is what I'm talking about. And to me, that's inflation. And so I have a hard time justifying such a significant expense. I want to invest in our people. That's priority one in my mind. We've done that. Now I think we need to cut back a little bit. Step back. This year we're investing in our people. Next year we're going to continue that path, but at the regular rate. I know this year's a little bit different. Regular rate, and then we can start funding some of these projects. So for me, putting all these money, it's almost like a dream budget that I see here. We're trying to cram everything into this that we can possibly cram, and I don't see the money coming in. And I would rather, and I really appreciate the work that the team has put into it, where I have seen you've conservatively tried to adjust this budget and make it, revenues, low revenues, high expenditures, but I still struggle to see the justification for the spend that we're asking for here. And so my view on the amendment that Mr. Waters put forth is I'm still going to request that it, unfortunately, even I know a lot of work's been put into this specific project, but I feel like we need to table it for now. Thank you.
Alderman Sassy, thank you. Alderman Collins.
I want to say that I agree with bits and pieces of what everybody has said. I certainly agree with everything that Alderman Robertson has said. And I also agree with Alderman Waters when he referenced the Walton Ferry intersection and how that's taken so long. I do feel like there are parallels there to me with the Exit 8 build because I think that Tina Lee referenced an article in the paper from the year I was born, referencing the Walton Ferry Cricket intersection situation. And look, I mean, my kids have graduated from college, so it's been way too long. But the state actually does the construction on that, is that accurate? So they put the construction out to bid? Whereas on Exit 8, we do that work?
That's correct. TDOT is managing that project.
Okay. And my understanding is they're either out to bid or they're about to go out to bid?
They have a bid date of December of this year, currently.
So that's when they'll open for bidding, or that's when they'll choose their bid?
That's when they will advertise.
Okay. So I love that, except for that, I mean, will it really happen? I don't know. But what I can say is that since we have had Jesse and Sarah here, that project has moved forward in a way that we had not seen apparently since the year I was born. I'm not going to say my age, but it's 40-something, and it's not low. So it's been a minute, and Jesse and Sarah have been here 2 years, a year and a half, maybe?
6 months.
6 months. So they've worked miracles on the Walton Ferry project, and I am cautiously optimistic that that will go out to bid in December, and that they will start work, and we will see movement. you certainly have my full support on moving forward with that project. The difference is that we are responsible for the construction phase of Exit 8. So we actually have more control, in a way, over the timing of that. And the way that people that live on that end of town, Ward 2, Ward 3, probably even Ward 6, would hear daily about Walton Ferry. We hear daily about Exit 8. And people say things like, you're never gonna do that. And I never thought that was true. It was like, no, we're working on it. There have been all these obstacles that, if not out of our control, were nearly outside of our control. The railroad, good luck. Working with the state, okay, we've done a really good job of managing that recently. Design it, redesign it, I don't know how many times. And we finally have everybody on the same page. All of these enormous obstacles that it's almost like the stars have to align. And here we are. Now, the only obstacle that we have is ourselves and funding. And those are big, well, funding is a huge obstacle. And I feel like the stance that the Capital Projects Committee has taken on it is reasonable and prudent. And to abandon the project in the budget would justify all of those people who say, you're never going to do anything. And I might start to be one of them and just lose faith in the city government doing what they have said they are going to do, because this city government has said we were going to fix that exit ever since we broke it the second time, because we know it was not done properly. And just because we make a mistake, I mean, I certainly wasn't on the board, but that we're still responsible for fixing the mistakes that other people have made. And when we have one project that takes a really long time, it doesn't justify abandoning all other projects, in my opinion. Of course, being from Ward 5, it's very predictable. I will not support removing this from the budget. Thank you.
Alderman Collins, thank you. Alderman Dixon.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the comments tonight on this, I do, and I appreciate the thought of the conservative thought of taking it out of the budget. But I, just like Alderman Roberson, do not want to lose the momentum we have gained over the last few years on this project. The only funding that we have in this budget is for the acquisition of the property. There's no construction in it, right? So that's the only funding we have in there. And it's basically on hold due to the Capital Projects Committee, right?
That's correct.
So I don't want to abandon that. And I urge the board to not do that.
Alderman Dixon, thank you. Alderman Sassy on this motion?
Yeah, just really quick. I just want to point out that this isn't an abandonment of this project. This is just putting it on hold. There's still $2.9 million in that fund or for this project. So there's money in there. This is just eliminating the additional funding request for this fiscal year. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Sassy. Alderman Waters. I'm sorry, Alderman Skidmore.
Thank you very much. I've listened with great interest on this whole project, and I'm kind of speaking to the motion in a roundabout way, and so I appreciate your indulgence if I go off just probably for about 30 seconds. But what I think we should have done early on was we should have deferred both the garbage fee and the budget, because we're sitting here wondering whether we're going to pay where the $5 million is coming from. And we're sitting here talking about a budget that's going to have, possibly going to have a $5 million deficit. So we need to find out whether you're going to fund that or not, and you're not doing that this evening. So we're sitting here talking about all these projects where there may not be any money to begin with, but that's fine. We can still talk about them all night. I don't mind doing that. But that's probably what we should have done, is deferred both of them, and then at our next meeting, discuss the garbage how we're going to pay for the garbage, whether that's going to go or not. And if it is, then that's going to include more money or less money in this budget. And if it is, we do know what we're going to be doing at that time because we voted on the garbage fee. Then we'll know whether we're going to have to find $5 million or not. We're still going to have to do that at the next meeting. And it would have been smarter to do that, but that's okay. We could have still talked about the budget. I failed to see about Exit 8, and I'm very realistic about that because I was here. All of you were not. I was when that subject came up. I voiced my concern back then, and I was voted down, and I said, okay. And guess what? We're still talking about it right now. The same doggone thing that I talked about and other aldermen who were on the board that talked about Exit 8, and I find that just incredibly interesting. I'll just say that. I'm trying to deal with my words, not in a mean way or a hateful way, because it's not. We've got a great board right now, but you guys have got to think what you're doing. You're talking about a budget. You don't even know how much money we've got because we hadn't voted for that. And so we're sitting here talking about these pie in the sky projects that we are getting ready to go forward with an $80 million tag, and we have no clue where that money is going to come from. I'm not going to vote for $80 million of taxpayers' money when $80 million is almost a third of the city's budget, people. I cannot do that. I am not going to go back to Ward 1 and say, I voted for an $80 million project. Well, how much is your budget this year? $45 million. That doesn't even make sense. We've got to figure out, this is so key right here. We've got a good budget, but we've got to find out what we're going to do about that garbage fee. Where's that $5 million going to come from? Tell me, somebody. Can anybody tell me? I judge this budget like I do a regular budget that regular people like me live by. It's real simple. It always has been for 30-something years. It's real simple. You get your paycheck every 2 weeks. You get your electric bill. You start figuring out what you can and cannot pay. You get your car payment, what you can, and God, I gotta do something to get that car payment. We're not doing that. We're sitting here, we're going to spend $2 or $3 million towards this $80 million project. Then we've got one over here on Walton Ferry Road that we've been screaming about for as long. I was riding my bicycle down Main Street when that thing was talked about as a kid. And we still haven't done anything. we've got to be realistic on where we're going. And I thought we were, and I really felt that when the garbage fee did not pass and everybody was talking about it, that we would defer because we don't know about this budget. And we've got time to do it if we pass wherever the garbage fee goes. If it's for it, I mean, if you vote for it, then you put that extra $5 in this budget. But we don't know what we're doing tonight. So it concerns me that we're putting the cart before the horse when it comes to budget time. And this is one of the things that we do as aldermen that we have to go back and actually tell our people that we represent about the budget, about taxes. That's one of our primary things that we do. This is one of the primary things that we all get mad about up here that sits on this board. And I get concerned every single budget when we do that. So what I'm concerned is about, and I do support, there's going to have to be more cuts made. There's going to have to be, because I got a bad feeling that where this is going. And I just want people to realize, or the aldermen to realize, that there's a real good chance that, and I'm not saying because I don't know how the vote's going to go, but there's a real good chance we're going to have to find $5 million. And that means we're going to have to make cuts. We're going to have to make additional cuts. That means there's a good chance that we're going to have to take money from the general fund. I'm not for that, but if we have to do that, we need to at least consider it. So a lot of these projects, I want people to understand, a lot of these projects we're not going to be able to do just quite yet. That doesn't mean we're never going to be able to do them, but we're not going to be able to do them right now. We have the highest inflation rate that we've had in this country, and we're keeping our taxes as low in the city of Hendersonville when everybody else, all the taxes are going up. And I will say the aldermen have done an excellent job when it comes to that. The mayor's office has done an excellent job keeping the taxes low. But I'm emphasizing, and I'll close with this, there are some projects that are not going to be able to be funded. It just can't be. I'm sorry to say, it's got to be, unless you want to raise taxes, and I don't know of anybody on this board that wants to raise taxes. I really don't. People can't afford it. Look at our gas prices. Look at the food prices when we go because of inflation. When we go to the grocery store. And I care about stuff like that as an alderman. And I look at that when I look at these numbers. See, they're not just numbers to me. They're numbers what people can pay and what we should pay. That's what they are to me, and they always have been to me and my family that has sat up here beside me. That's the way we look at it. And we get criticized for it. But I don't care whether I'm criticized for it, because that's how I feel. And that's not any political rhetoric. That's the freaking truth. So I support Alderman Waters' position that we need to take that out of the budget. And there may be some more that need to be taken out. I don't know. But we got to figure out about that garbage, I'm telling you now. We have to. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Alderman Skidmore. Mayor, does table this mean that you have to cease doing any public relation work for a year about contributions, about anything? Is that what that table means? That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I think the motion is to defer it for 2 weeks. And there's a definition of table and there's a definition of defer. So we're talking about deferring it.
No, wait, talking about defer.
That's the motion that's on the table, is to defer, it's to remove this item. To remove this
I
item. It's
made the
not
motion to
table
table it. That means to remove it.
So you can only make a motion to table the motion that's being considered. You can't make a motion to table an item that's part of the overall consideration.
Who made the motion?
You did.
I made the motion to table it
To table the whole budget?
for this year.
You have a choice. You can make a motion to table what we're discussing right now.
I'm sorry, amend it, okay, amend it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if your motion to amend, but to remove this,
Yeah,
I don't even think I can go back to the county and ask them to pass this at the county commission. And they were behind us last night. It took an awful lot of work to get $3 million over 4 years out of the county. If you want to kiss it goodbye, kiss it goodbye.
are you saying it's dead if we table it? Is that what you're saying?
If you remove it,
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody, any agency would pledge money toward this project if the city won't pledge money toward it next year.
Yeah.
If you want to take that up, feel free. Or, Mr. Sassy, if you want to take that up, feel free.
So, are you saying my motion would be better if I just deferred this? Withdraw it, I mean?
Yes.
Withdraw my motion?
Mr. Sassy, you withdraw your second.
No, I didn't say I would. I didn't say I was going to withdraw it. I'm asking you, is it better to make a motion to defer it or make a motion to table it?
You can't make a motion to table your own motion. You would have to withdraw it. You also can't make a motion to defer your own motion. You would have to withdraw it. Somebody else can make those motions.
That you can offer the same.
I'm not.
Hold on
through.
one second. We need to stay with Mr. Waters.
I'm not through. Since Alderman Sass seconded my motion, I'm going to refer to him to give me some advice on that, if you don't mind.
Well, actually, Alderman Robertson is next to speak. Alderman Robertson, do you want to hear from Alderman Sassy?
No, I want to take a break.
Oh.
I think we need to, I'd like to talk to our city attorney about a couple of matters because, as Mr. Skidmore said, the budget that we're considering now is about $5 million in the red. I think under state law, we can't pass a budget that's in the red. We have to pass a balanced budget. So I'd like to take a 10-minute break and talk to my lawyer and see how we can get out of this.
Okay. We have a motion to take a 10-minute break. Second. We have a second from Alderman Dixon. Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Lance?
Mr. Waters. says tabled, it doesn't.
Oh, he said it was a motion to amend, so we can change that. Hold on one second. Alderman Waters, I believe that you have a motion to amend on the table right now, okay? And that motion is to remove the funding for LIC Exit 8. Okay? And you were speaking, go ahead.
I'm going to withdraw my motion till the next meeting.
Okay. Alderman Sassy, do you withdraw your second? I do. Okay. So we can get rid of that. Now we're back on the main motion, which is the budget as a whole. Alderman Robertson.
I would like to make a motion at this time to postpone any action and move back to the previous item on the trash and have a discussion on a motion to reconsider.
Okay. So motion to reconsider, I need a second, and then I need a majority vote since we are still at the same meeting that item was considered. Second. So we have a second from Alderman Dixon, and so we have a motion to reconsider to go back to item 4.
Sorry, did you vote on the motion to postpone?
Okay. So, since we're on the main motion on that, we can do that. Okay. So we have a motion to reconsider, which is to go back to item number 4 on your agenda, which is the garbage fee. Let me make sure here. Yes, okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. We have a no from Alderman Peterson. That passed with a majority vote, okay? So now we're back on item 4. This is first reading of ordinance 2023-12, an ordinance imposing a fee in the amount of $251 for the purpose of funding the universal system of domestic garbage collection and disposal and authorizing its billing on the city's property tax notices. I so move.
Second.
And I have a second from Alderman Waters. Alderman Robertson, do you want to speak on this, Alderman Waters? Okay. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2023-12, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. Okay, let's call the roll for it, please, Annette. So we're on item 4. This is first reading of ordinance 2023-12. This is creating a trash fee for residential garbage and setting that fee at $251 for the next fiscal year. And that is a motion to approve that. That is a motion to approve that, yes. Okay. Go ahead, Annette.
Collins? No. Dixon?
Yes.
Garton? Yes. Garza?
No.
Goodwin?
No.
Peterson?
No.
Robertson?
Yes.
Sassy?
No.
Skidmore?
No.
Waters?
No.
Clary?
Yes. That fails. Now we're back on item number 3. This is first reading of ordinance 2023-11. This is an ordinance of the city of Hendersonville, Tennessee, adopting the annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023, and ending June 30th, 2024. I so move. We have a second from Alderman Waters. Let me explain where we are. So, the current fiscal year, the fiscal year we are in right now, has a tax rate of $0.9187. This ordinance that we're considering right now has expenditures and has revenues. Part of those revenues, the property tax rate is $0.7580. So this ordinance right here has a reduced tax rate of 0.16, it's actually about 16 cents, which currently gives us a deficit of a little over $5 million because the trash fee didn't pass. Alderman Robertson.
Okay, so that we're in compliance with the law, I have a question first of finance, staff finance. If we go back to the existing tax rate, will that pretty much take us where we are by reducing it? I mean, you see what I'm saying? If we have decided, the board has decided to eliminate the itemized trash and so now, if we go back to our existing tax rate, does that make, will that make the budget the same?
No, it will not.
Okay, explain.
That difference in the tax rate is roughly $3.5 million. That's where there was the discussion earlier that $251 was an increase overall to the total collections. So by reverting back to the existing tax rate of the 0.9187, we would be roughly $1.5 million short on the budget.
Okay, 1.5 million.
Yes, sir.
So in order to comply with state law, we need some people to come forward with some budget cuts. Either that or a property tax increase. Is that correct, Lance?
Hold on.
That is correct. The budget would need to be balanced.
The budget would have to be, the operating budget would need to be balanced.
Yeah, we'd have to use fund balance to balance our budget, which I think the comptroller allows. So we have a fund balance built up, and we would use some of that money.
I mean, we're already using some fund balance under the existing.
Yeah, I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying I think legally you're allowed to use it.
I think we got to come up with some cuts unless this board is ready to, raise a tax.
Don't say that.
I know it. I know it. That's all at this time. I'm be anxious to hear the discussion.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. So, going to page 26.
You want to defer this? Go ahead.
Which tab?
Page 26?
Yeah, page 26 of the budget.
Hold on. Go ahead.
What?
We're with you. Page 26.
Okay. On section 12, it talks about the COLA increase. Mayor, can you indicate to me your request? Which boards was it that you requested that we add onto the payroll?
I think I sent that to you on email, didn't I?
You did. I was just hoping you could clarify that.
So, adding Board of Zoning Appeals, Golf Course Commission, and Parks Board, I think the overall impact of that was $7,000?
22,000.
22, okay.
So my amendment would be to remove those and also reduce the Board of Mayor and Alderman salary back, remove the COLA from that to bring it back down to $672.04. I don't think there's any, none of us are here to make money. We're here to do what's right for the city. And so I don't think it's necessary for us to take that. So I would like, that's my motion.
So we have a motion. We need a second before anybody speaks on it. A second from Alderman Dixon. Go ahead, Alderman Dixon.
Yes, and I was short on pulling my gun when we first started bringing up the budget, and I let others get in front of me. But as Finance Committee Chairman, I wanted to point to page 30. The Finance Committee met on May 16th, that's last Tuesday, and we voted for this balanced budget to move forward with the recommendation that the aldermen shall remain at the fiscal year of 2023 rate and not be included with the citywide 6% cost of living adjustment, and that the board/committee pay shall not expand to any other boards or committees, as with the boards and committees receiving pay in 2023 continuing to receive pay. And our Finance Committee, which Alderman Sassy sits on, our discussion was around being public servants, and that we're not here to make money, earn money, and we feel like our committees aren't either. And we appreciate all the work that they do, but we just felt that it was totally unnecessary, so I support the amendment.
So we have
Thank you.
Motion is second. Let me get some clarification here. What is the net impact of that, Tamara?
It was 26,000.
Yeah, the impact for the committees was $22,730, and then the impact for removing the COLA from the BOMA members was $5,952. So roughly just over $28,000.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you to do some more math. So how short are we now?
Still roughly $1.5 million.
Okay. Alderman Skidmore, on this amendment.
On the amendment, I don't have anything to say at this time. I'll wait until this amendment passes.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Collins, on this amendment.
I certainly support the removing the 6% from the alderman pay, but I meant to ask this ahead of time. I forgot. In the back of my mind, I think there's an ordinance which establishes alderman pay and says that we have to have the COLA, so we would need to amend. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I think there's an ordinance out there we need to amend.
So since this is an ordinance also, that would satisfy
It would
that?
do that?
Yep.
Okay.
Good question.
Great.
Anybody else wish to speak on the amendment? Call the roll, Annette. So the amendment is to remove from the proposed budget the cost of living increases for the aldermen and remove the 3 additional committees that were going to be paid. That's the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Golf Course Commission, and the Parks Board. If you agree with the amendment, vote aye. If you oppose, vote no. Remove those.
Collins? Aye. Dixon?
Aye.
Garten? Aye. Garza?
Aye.
Goodwin? Aye. Peterson?
Aye.
Robertson? Aye. Sassy?
Aye.
Skidmore?
Aye.
Waters? Clary?
Aye. So
Unanimous.
that passes unanimously. Alderman Dixon.
Yes, and here we are with a budget that's not balanced that we're discussing. And I would like to make the motion that we have time. We have to have a balanced budget by the end of July voted on. And I would like to make the motion that we defer until, defer our budget ordinance and call a special called meeting to discuss it.
So we have a motion, a second. When do you, help us clarify a little bit. When would we meet? So we actually have a 5th Tuesday this month.
Are you saying the 30th?
And that's only a week. Do you want to take it? Do you want to discuss it in Finance Committee first?
I don't think it's necessary. We've already discussed the tax rate.
And we will meet on June 6th, and we have another meeting scheduled June 20th. Am I correct on that?
Yes. We have June 11th as the meeting that we canceled. I mean, July 11th as the meeting we
Okay.
canceled.
So we have, our next 2 meetings coming up are June 6th and June 20th. So do you just want to defer it?
To June 6th.
I'm sorry, it is the 13th,
Oh, yeah, 13th. I'm sorry.
13th and 27th. Do you want to defer this until the 13th?
It might be too soon for the research to be done that we're asking. So I'm thinking June 13th.
June 13th, okay.
Yes,
We already, we already scheduled for the 13th. So,
that would give us 2 readings before July.
with 3 days to spare.
Oh, we have to have it by June 30th.
June 30th.
I'm sorry, yeah. If anybody else wants to recommend a date.
What about May 30th? You think that's too quick?
Is May 30th too soon to work, to discuss Alderman Roberson's idea about a sales tax, a tax on garbage?
What do you think?
Notice-wise, it's not too soon. We could, you can call a
Right.
special call meeting.
Hold on one second. So, hold on. So what date are you asking to defer this to?
Let's do it next Tuesday.
So Tuesday, the 30th.
You've got something?
Jesse, where's the Deer Committee meeting? Would it be? Okay, thank you. So we have this room available without having to reschedule anything on the 30th?
Great.
Okay. So at what time? We have no committee meetings that night, so we could meet early.
6.
At 6? So our motion is to defer this and have a special meeting on May 30th at 6 PM. Defer just the budget. Now, we're in an interesting situation too, though.
Because we've got amendments.
Huh?
Because we've made amendments. to
We're okay with the
We're okay
amendments,
there? Okay.
but I can't place on the agenda item 4 because it's been voted down. And since it's a special meeting, we have to state on the agenda what we're considering.
I'm out of ideas. There's no way we can reconsider a second time.
We can.
We have to move forward.
So our problem is that I can't place on the agenda item 4 for a special meeting because it's been voted down, and a special meeting has to state the agenda ahead of time. We can't add things to a special meeting after the meeting has started. But if the trash fee is voted down, the trash fee is voted down.
Okay.
If we add a trash tax, we would have to have 2 readings of that after May 30th.
Right, and that would amend the ordinance that we just,
And we need to know if we're gonna have a trash tax before we discuss the budget again. Would the Finance Committee like to have a meeting on May 30th? You can set your own agenda.
I'm not sure we'll come up with anything. Does that mean that we're looking for $1.5 million?
At this point, yes.
Yeah.
And a workshop doesn't do us any good because we can't take any votes at workshops.
And exactly, but I would rather be discussing that 1.5 million with all of BOMA instead of 3 committee members.
So right now we have on the table, we have a motion to defer setting the budget and setting the tax rate until a special meeting on May 30th. We cannot on May 30th consider a special tax or a trash fee. The motion is just the tax rate and the budget.
Are you talking about having a workshop or having a special call meeting?
I'm talking about a special call meeting.
Okay.
If I'll throw this out there, y'all may laugh at me. If y'all want to reconsider the trash fee and defer it until May 30th, that's an option. But we cannot consider a special tax on May 30th.
So we're still short 1.5 million.
We're still short 1.5 million.
You're saying that number 4 is out of the question, right?
Unless y'all want to make a motion to rescind again, and then pass a motion to defer it until May 30th. Hold on, we're still with, we're in discussion.
I would like to hear what
Okay.
Alderman Collins has to say.
Okay.
And Roberson.
This is a question. If there were a special called Finance Committee meeting and to consider the special tax for garbage that Alderman Roberson is suggesting, and then we waive the 2-week rule and have a special called meeting on the 30th, then we could consider that. And then, like, first on the agenda, and then look at the budget
So,
also on the 30th. Have both on the agenda so we can at least discuss both of them.
yeah, I get
Even
what
if
you're
we
saying,
decided not
but
to
since
vote.
since the board as a whole voted to defeat the trash fee, it takes the board as a whole to bring it back. Hold on, Alderman Robertson. Alderman Sassy.
Wait,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
not the trash fee,
Mhm.
a special tax that would include apartments and commercial is what,
You wanna try that one?
am I wrong?
Let's have Lance weigh in on that one.
Okay,
That would be a whole new
would.
ordinance that hasn't gone through the process. And I have a
So-
little bit of concerns about the legality of that, but I don't want to.
If we had a special call meeting with adequate notice for the finance committee,
Mm-hmm.
and then we waive the 2-week rule,
probably
which
what
we've
have to happen.
done,
You could do that.
that would work?
But
And that's easier because you can set the finance committee agenda.
But we've already voted to move the budget forward out of
You-
finance.
You can still, oh, you're right.
We can send it back to,
I don't think so.
we sent the replacement schedule
Yeah,
resolution
you
back to
could- they-
committee.
The board could vote to send it back to the finance committee.
Oh, so we would have to vote here.
Not necessarily. You could, if we vote to defer it to another time, the finance committee can consider it between now and then. Or we could vote to send it back to the finance committee. Either one is okay. But unless the board votes by majority to send the garbage fee to a committee or defer it here, we can't send it anywhere. It's been defeated.
Garbage tax.
Okay, I know. So,
Okay.
yeah. So you're fine with the garbage tax, absolutely. We can do that. But it has to go to a committee first.
I know, you know, again, I mean, we can do that. It doesn't have to go to finance, but we're talking about garbage. We are talking about money as well, but, so we would bypass all the other committees?
Our ordinance
Because
only
that
requires.
they have already voted for this as well?
Our ordinance only requires it to go to one committee. Hold on, Alderman Sassy has had his light for a little while. Alderman Sassy.
Yeah, I was just going to offer, we could also just go back to the original tax rate and then cut the 1.5 million, right? And just, I mean, I know we want to hear about this tax, but I think for the purposes of passing this budget, we may just have to forego that now and adjust it later.
We would have to find 1.5 million.
I understand that. In a budget where we went, in capital expenditures, we went from 6 million to 24 million, I think we can find it.
Oh, hold it, you said, I'm sorry, you can find it? I mean,
I said I think we can find it.
Alderman Robertson, I've had your light on for a second, or Alderman Collins. Alderman Robertson.
I have a suggestion. Let's have a special meeting of the Finance Committee on May the 30th with the following 2 items. Number 1, the staff will bring forward, the mayor and staff will bring forward a budget cutting 1.5 to make a balanced budget. They will, at that time as well, so we'll know what we have to do. At that time, too, the city attorney will give a report to the Finance Committee, and I'm sure all of us will be there, but they will give a report to the Finance Committee on the legality of the universal trash tax. I mean, at this point, I think the board has spoken, and unless someone on the prevailing side makes a motion to reconsider. I think the trash fee as it was proposed, Mayor, is dead. I don't think it has the support of this board. So, so I think if the Finance Committee meets on the 30th and the staff comes back and says, here's how we're going to balance the budget, and also a report, then the next Tuesday, which would be June the, let's see, June the 6th, June the 6th.
Is that right?
So real quickly, we do have a motion on the floor to defer something, and also I can't be here June 6th.
Yeah. Well,
that's
what
when
about the 13th?
13th, yes, that's when the county commission meets,
The 13th?
the 6th.
The 6th, okay, well, I want you trying to get that money for Exit 8. So let's then meet for the 13th, for the first reading, and the 20th for the second reading.
So what I need to happen first, before you can make that motion, is I need the two people who have made the motion and seconded that to defer this, to withdraw their motion, if they desire. If not, we can vote.
So I would need to defer my
We-
motion so he could make this motion.
You would need to withdraw it.
I'm withdrawing.
Okay, who is our second? Alderman Peterson, do you want to withdraw that?
Yes.
Okay. So, Alderman Robertson, so, help us out again, sorry.
Okay, may I ask the staff a question? Mr. Eckenroth, you've heard the conception of my motion. Can the staff accomplish what I have set forward in the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Oh, did you want to say something other than that? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
If we could have some, I don't know that 1.5 million is the exact amount, and I would like some time to check the calendars with planning and all these. So I would like some time to go back and regroup with staff, because we're going to have to make cuts that it's going to be very challenging
I know.
to do that.
I know.
And it's going to be extremely,
I know.
it's going to be tough. So
I know.
I would just like to look at the calendar. So if maybe we had some flexibility and we could propose within, like tomorrow, we could propose some dates and some ideas to the board. And then based on that, maybe we could call, work with the mayor and we can call some meeting dates. So we don't have conflicts with county commission meetings. We have, I think, June 20th, we have a public meeting in this room.
Oh, that's right.
So we have, so just if we have a little flexibility to work on.
So that's a good point. I can call special meetings, I can't cancel meetings.
I'm good with that, because I think, I think we have to kind of go with the flow here, see what works. But I still would like for the staff to present that first to the Finance Committee so it can be digested until
Yes.
we have to vote on it. You see what I'm saying? So I still would like the Finance Committee to meet the 30th. Will that give the staff enough time to come up with this horrible list of cuts that we're going to have to make?
Well, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to send an email tomorrow and ask you all for your list.
I got you.
Okay.
I mean, I think it gives us enough time, but we need
Yeah,
some
the
flexibility.
other thing that I want to emphasize is, it's the mayor's budget. So
Yeah,
I will do as directed by the mayor.
I
So,
got you.
Understood.
Understood.
As long as I have direction, yeah, we can do what needs to be done.
Yeah. Mayor, as you're putting together this scenario, I would like two scenarios. I would like one scenario using reserves and one scenario not using reserves. You follow?
Or a combo.
Or a combo. I mean, I want us to look at the tough decisions that we may have to make, because I sure hate spending our reserves unless it's absolutely necessary. So with that, I make a motion that the Finance Committee meet the 30th, and shortly thereafter, the mayor will call a special meeting for the first reading of the budget. Is that a clean enough motion? First reading. We haven't had the first reading yet.
So, okay, so we got a motion, a second. I think I understand it. Hold on one second here, sorry. So we've got a motion from Alderman Robertson and a second from Alderman Collins. The only item that will be on that agenda, according to your motion, is the budget and the tax rate.
Yes.
And that's one item.
That's the first reading of the budget.
So if we find out we can have a garbage tax,
Will there be a finance committee meeting?
but Alderman Robertson, we include the possibility of a ordinance for a garbage tax as well, just to cover all our bases.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Because those are the only, if that's the motion, those are the only two things that we can put on there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the trash fee as in this budget is dead. I mean, I'm looking at it realistic.
Yes.
You okay with that?
That's right.
Okay, so our motion is that the Finance Committee is gonna have a meeting on May 30th.
Correct.
What day?
Soon after that, I'll set a special meeting.
Yes.
And there will be two items on there. It will be the budget and the tax rate, that's one item. And then, consideration of a garbage tax, which needs to go to Finance Committee at least some point ahead of that.
Yeah.
On the 30th.
You mean the 13th? Or, no. Whatever, yes. We would have that on our agenda as well.
Right.
Right, okay.
Okay, so I've got several lights here. Any other discussion on that motion? I need you to raise your hand.
No.
No, I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, okay. That's an elbow.
That's okay.
Okay.
He should have made it very clear why he wanted it.
Okay, I'm making sure, no other discussion.
Or yes.
Okay, all those in favor, I'll have Annette call the roll. Say aye, those opposed, say no.
Collins. Aye. Dixon.
Aye.
Garten. Aye. Garza.
Aye.
Goodwin. Aye. Peterson.
Aye.
Robertson. Sassy. Skidmore. Waters. Clary.
Aye. Okay, so that passed unanimously. Now on Resolution 2023-11, this is a resolution to accept a fleet replacement schedule for the city police and fire departments. To establish that fleet replacement schedule, considerations be included regularly as part of each annual budget process. Alderman Collins?
Aye, so moved.
Alderman Goodwin?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Alderman Robertson?
Just a second. Let me get to that tab. Number 5, thank you. So, at the last meeting, I came up with a proposal that I thought was a way that we could save some money. Of course, all of us believe that we need to have safe and reliable vehicles, especially our first responders. And we've done a good job. Just within the last 2 years, we've replaced 2. Or not, we've replaced 1 and we've purchased 1 for Station 7. By my own numbers, subject to check, I think we've spent over $7 million on the fire department equipment, which includes Station 7. So we've made great investments in the. So I came up with a proposal to try to extend the life, unless there were mechanical problems, unless there were issues on those units, and we sent it back to public safety. I listened to the public safety meeting and heard that that motion, or my suggestion, was rejected and the original motion was made. So I accept that of the committee. I will continue, though, to look at every possible way to save some money in every category. So I have a question from the primary sponsor, if she would help me, and maybe you want to defer to General City Attorney. But under the first resolve, it says, subject to otherwise safety and/or repair issues of any specific vehicle. What does that mean?
That is actually something that's come into ability to.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Turn your mic
I'm
on.
looking
I'm
at
so
dates.
sorry. Sorry about that. That's something that's actually come into question in the last week. It was my intent, and with communicating with Mr. Ray when he wrote the ordinance, that there would be a clause that clearly provided for a safety inspection of vehicles with a recommendation, so that we were considering in real time, and so that this would truly be a guideline and not a rule that we were forced into following. So, in my mind, it applies to police and fire, but in my mind, it's more likely to impact police, because I know, for example, the K-9 units, they cannot turn off their vehicles because the dog is inside the vehicle. So those vehicles will wear out much faster than one who doesn't have a K-9 in it. And so that was the intent, and I am not completely certain that it accomplishes what my intent was. So I would definitely be open to improving that language.
Okay, I have an amendment
Okay.
that I would like for the board to consider. And let me say this before I pass this amendment out. I want to make sure that if we have a vehicle that's a lemon, that we don't have to wait 15 years before we replace that lemon.
That's right.
Also, conversely, if we have a vehicle that is a jewel, and our department and our city takes great care of our equipment. I've inspected them, and they do a great job in maintaining and making sure they're in tip-top shape. So conversely, if we have a piece of equipment that is experiencing no problems and that there are no issues with, I don't see anything wrong with trying to get 1 or 2 more years out of it. So, if an equipment is bad, we replace it before 15, but if an equipment is good and in good working order, we need to keep it in. We have that fiduciary responsibility to our citizens. So I don't think age alone is the only factor that we should consider in replacing the fleet. So I'll pass this out, if I may, Mayor.
So Alderman Robertson, while you're doing that, I'm thinking that we make this Exhibit B, and then we reference it on the, in the second to last paragraph.
Well, let's see if it passes. But yeah, you're more optimistic than I am.
Jesse, are you following us? Does that make sense? Make this Exhibit B?
Let's see if I have, I didn't make enough copies.
Yeah, take mine. Here you go.
Any issues?
So I'm going to wait till Chief Bush comes back.
So Alderman Robertson,
Yes.
Mr. Ray has a suggestion that might help. us.
Okay, because I drafted this myself, so
It's just a minor one, just to make sure that there's nothing that we're not thinking of. You could say that the following factors will, and then include but not be limited to also being considered.
I like that even better. Where was that now?
After following factors will include but not be limited to also be considered.
Okay.
Yeah, the following factors will include but not be limited to also be considered.
I think that's a friendly suggestion, so I don't have a problem with that. I just don't want age alone. You know, if we use age alone, if we get a lemon, guys,
We gotta clarify that.
we may be stuck with that lemon, and I don't want us, but likewise, if everything's good, if personnel, it doesn't affect personnel safety to keep a piece of equipment 1 or 2 years longer, it's not obsolete. The condition of major components is still good, it's reliable, usage is still valid. The availability of cost and replacement parts is still available. There are no federal mandates that require the changing of the fleet, nor maintenance. So this is 8 categories that I would expect when a piece of equipment hits 15 years, I would expect our COO to take this with the chief and go through this, because these are the kinds of questions that I'm going to ask when we replace vehicles.
So Alderman Robertson, so you have a motion, you've provided in writing to us. We don't have a second quite yet.
Chief Miller, did you get a copy? Okay. Okay, then I'm so move.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Waters? Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, does anybody need clarification on this? Okay. Alderman Robertson, anything else on this? Okay. Alderman Goodwin.
Well, I appreciate Mr. Roberson trying to save money, and I am all for saving money. I am not by any means at saving money at the expense of our first responders. I have spent countless hours in the last few weeks, especially on the fire truck, online and on the phone with the organization NAPA that sets standards for the fire department, for the employees, the vehicles. Their standard is 15 years. Could a fire truck go 17 years? Possibly. Could it also break at 13 years? But there's an organization that is what they do, and I am not comfortable extending that to save a little bit of money. I know times are tight, we're facing a recession, but not at the expense of the first responders. They, after 15 years, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. I think even if you take it for an inspection, you're liable to miss key components of the fire truck. And I feel like if there is the safety standards that they put in place, that we owe it to the first responders to abide by the standards that are set forth. With the police cars right now in the police department, have done some research on that. They have 70 cars in their fleet right now that are 5 years or older. All of the patrol cars run the entire shift. They don't cut them off because of computers and other things. 22 of those 70 are reserve vehicles, and in this fall, 18 more cars will have hit the 5-year mark. And I just feel like we have the best first responders around, and I feel like we owe it to them for us not to decide what we need to do. So I'm going to stick with the way that it was originally put in here. I don't think it's up to us or the department to decide when they should be pulled. I think at 5-year, 100,000 miles, pull them out. The fire truck hits 15 years, it needs to go and go to reserve.
Alderman Goodwin, thank you. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. I respect that position. I really do. Because we all want our first responders to be safe and to have the best equipment at all times. But one vehicle is not the same as the next. One vehicle is not used as much as the next. You have different officers in them, using them different ways, driving them different ways. So they're not apples to apples, each individual car. So I think there needs to be some way to acknowledge that and to verify that the vehicle is in a condition where it could continue service for maybe another year to help stretch that budget. If it's going to jeopardize the safety of the officer, absolutely not. or of the firefighter. Absolutely not, of course. But I would not want to get rid of a perfectly good vehicle just because it rolled over to 5 years since we purchased the vehicle. That's my own position. So, but I do have a question, and Tamara, maybe you can answer this. How much are we, for fiscal year 2023, how much did we spend on police vehicles total? Do you have that number? So, thanks, Shane.
So we are doing 9 police vehicles, outfitted, they're 60,000 apiece. So that'd be 540,000.
Okay, and that was just after the mid-year, right? Didn't we do 10 at the?
That's for I'm sorry, that's for fiscal year 24. Are you asking for this year?
For 23.
I'll send a list out to you to let you know. I'll send it out to Aldermen on the vehicles that we purchased this year, because we just are adding another 5. We did, I think, 10 at the beginning of the year, 10 mid-year, and then we just did 5 more with the FEMA reimbursement funds that we got.
Okay, so
If
total.
my memory serves me correctly.
Okay, I trust your memory a whole lot, and I trust my own. And they're about 60,000 apiece, right?
The patrol vehicles are, the admin vehicles are a little bit different, but patrol vehicles are about 40,000 to purchase them and about 20,000 to put the lights and sirens and things like that on them.
Okay. So, taking those numbers, I think we're right around $750,000, $800,000 between the two types, maybe? Is that about right?
If we've done 25, it would be 25 times 60,000.
It's how much?
1.5 million.
1.5 million, and that's how much we're budgeting for them annually in here, I see, right?
For fiscal year 23, that's what we've done.
1.5 million?
Yeah,
Okay.
if my memory serves me correctly, that is 25 vehicles, and if they're all patrol vehicles. For fiscal year 24, we did 9 vehicles, 6 in the general fund and 3 in the drug fund. So the general fund impact is only 6 police vehicles. That's one of the changes we made to make the general fund more balanced.
Gotcha.
Anything else, Alderman Sassy?
Not this time.
Alderman Robertson?
Yeah, personnel safety is the number one thing on my amendment that we should consider when we replace. What I'm afraid of is if we don't clean up the language on that the staff will not be able to replace a vehicle that is causing a lot of problems. So I think my language clears up. I am not suggesting to change the aspirational aspect of the ordinance. And I understood from Alderman Collins, it was aspirational. It was not a mandate. It was, this is our goal to replace, right?
I would say that was.
Hold on one second. Go ahead, Alderman Collins.
I would say that was more the case for police vehicles that I feel like are used differently and need the flexibility than fire.
Yeah. So, again, personnel safety was the number one. If there's a piece of equipment that is that the chief or that the commanders or the hierarchy of the department believe is a personnel safety, then you'll get no beef out of me in replacing that. I just want it considered. I don't want it to just be the age of the vehicle. So it's not the personnel safety is the first thing that the staff should consider when replacing these vehicles. And again, so I've moved away from my proposal of trying to extend them 2 years and trying to extend the ladder trucks 5 years. I still think the ladder trucks to 5 more years is a reasonable is a reasonable way because they're not used as much as engines. But I've backed away from that based upon the committee's report. I've backed away from the police cars, you know. So 100,000 miles or 5 years, I think, for the patrol cars. But as we get those dates, there may be a couple of vehicles that are outstanding that Ford did a great job in putting together, you know. And again, we purchased the premium vehicle for our fire department, and I voted for it every time, the custom, not the commercial, the custom. So if we've got an extra piece of equipment, the staff says, hey, I think we can get another year out of it, don't we owe that to the citizens if it doesn't jeopardize the safety of our first responders and these other conditions that I mentioned? So with that, I yield.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Collins.
I want to say that I think the big thing we're forgetting, or not forgetting, but not fully appreciating, is that in the span of 15 years, significant safety improvements have been made to a fire truck, such that a new fire truck versus a fire truck that's 15 years old is going to have a lot more safety features to protect our frontline, our firefighters, suppression workers.
That's obsolescence.
That is obsolescence. So I feel like that is the top, for me, it would be the top consideration is that, well, I'm not sure it is covered by obsolescence because actually the vehicle can still perform its function and still be not actively dangerous, but just not be as safe as possible, which is part of the reason that the 15-year guideline is in place by NAFPA. So I would like to see us say that the top priority here would be availability of increased safety features.
So you'd like to add?
Hold on one second. Go ahead, Alderman Robertson.
So would you like to add one item and put it number one?
What I would like
on
to
that?
say is with the highest priority being given to the availability of increased safety features. And I also would like to add in whom is responsible for conducting the safety, what I consider safety inspection of who is responsible for gathering this information and making a recommendation? The chief and the CEO, COO?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. It probably goes without saying.
yes, I think it does. So I'd be happy to add that language if you could give us some language.
I'm so tired. Just the following factors will also be considered as to either the early.
Hold on, we've actually already amended that part. So the following factors will include but will not be limited to also be
That's
considered.
right, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Will include but not be limited to.
Maybe ask general counsel.
Yeah, I don't know. How do
Suggestion.
you say
Congratulations.
the highest priority being given to availability or the weight, it being weighted towards
Give us
the
just a second.
availability
I'm
of
coming to you
increased
next.
safety
Well.
features?
Can you repeat that? I did not hear the last part.
Availability of increased safety features on a new vehicle should be the most important thing we consider.
You could say by order of importance as follows, if that's the number one listing.
Okay. Alderman Roberson, did you agree with his?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think they're, they're all important, and if one of these items, if a piece of equipment fails to meet one of these items, I'm ready to replace it.
Well, that means we would be replacing fire engines at 15 years.
Not necessarily. I didn't put 15 years in, as I said, that age alone is not the only factor. That's one
Sure.
factor to
But
consider.
there's going to be there's going to be increased safety features available after 15 years.
And I would think that would be covered in obsolescence, and if it's not clear in there, I think the legislative record that we're making a point of would make it so. Is that right? I mean, we're talking about, and I'm the maker of the motion, and if I say obsolescence means that if there are additional safety features that, are available on new equipment, that should be considered. But that's what that word means. What about number one, just availability of new safety features?
Yes.
Number one, put that number one above personnel safety.
And then add the language about importance as recommended by Mr. Ray.
Okay.
By order of priority.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that covers it.
Okay, so, who made the second? Well, hold on 1 second. Okay, so Alderman Robertson, you're changing your proposed amendment. Alderman Waters, do you agree with that since you're the person who made the second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after Alderman Collins, I've got Alderman Goodwin who's ready to speak.
Okay.
Alderman Collins, anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Goodwin.
I just have a quick question. Did you say that the COO and the chief would decide if they were safe to stay in the fleet?
Are you asking me, or they would be the ones to make the recommendation to BOMA? Yes.
Well, I have a real problem with that. Not that I don't like any of our chiefs, but I would not want any of them to make the decision on if the vehicle is safe or not. That's why I think you need the standard 15-year, 5-year, 100,000 miles. I don't know any of the police vehicles with 100,000 miles on them that are in great shape, and I don't think it's smart to go over the 15 years. I don't think it's up to our chief. I don't think they have any mechanical ability to make that decision. That's all.
Yeah, check with Lance on that. Okay, so Alderman Goodwin, anything else? Alderman Goodwin, anything else?
Can we remove extension of timing?
I'm sorry?
Can we remove the extension of timing?
Where's that?
Extending it?
Leave it at early.
Just leave it at the,
Well, you want to eliminate early or extension of timing? No, then that would mean that if a piece of.
if you pull it early, but I don't want to extend past the 5-year.
Well, I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I mean, if a piece of equipment's bad, get it out. But if you can get one more year and save taxpayer money without risking personnel safety, these factors, I think that guts the intent of being able to evaluate equipment based on not only age but other factors. I think you need to have a comprehensive or a holistic approach.
Alderman Goodwin, anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Skidmore.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of, one quick question, well, I have two questions. One for the fire chief, but one for Alderman, my colleague in Ward 6, Alderman Robertson. Thank you, gentlemen. I don't know how to moment there. I just have one, is it 15 or 17 that we're talking about, years?
15.
15, okay, I couldn't
15.
understand, because I was reading the thing and I saw the 17 and I couldn't
No.
understand. But I'd like to ask the chief just a quick question. It's not in putting him on the spot or anything like that, just a quick question. It's been a great night. It's been interesting. It's been fun, you know.
Sure it is.
I mean, you know, I had a person call me the other day. I can't remember that. I think they lived on Gaytone, I think, and they said, your meetings are so boring now. And I'm going, just wait, because they're talking about the budget. And sure enough, we've had fireworks tonight. But that's good. There's great dialogue this evening. How long you been with the fire department?
36 years.
That's what I thought. And how long you been our chief now?
8 years.
8 years, okay. How do you feel about the 15 versus 17, or does this amendment or the ordinance, does it make any difference to you? Is it okay the way that it is?
100% it makes a difference.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like the NFPA standard is something we should follow.
Right.
As legislation. I mean, it's something there written. I understand what Mr. Roberson's speaking about as far as extending time. That
Right.
possibility may be there. But I can tell you in my experience over the years with apparatus, even being on companies, you run into part issues, right? So if you have part issues and have trouble finding them after 12, 13 years, that's a longer downtime.
Right.
So if one of them's moved to reserve status and a pump goes out, then we don't have anything to fall back on in our fleet.
Okay.
So we would either have to go to a partnering city and ask to borrow an apparatus to use, which then we're on the hook for theirs because they're gonna give you something older.
Right.
If something happened to that, then we'd be responsible for fixing that. I just feel like sticking with the guidelines that are established by the folks that, if you do go to court, that's what you're gonna hold you accountable to.
Right.
I just feel like that's the best standard.
Okay, well, I was sort of thinking that because I was agreeing with, I listened to both sides of it, and I was listening to Alderwoman Goodwin, and I, kind of felt the same way that she did. And I just wanted to make sure. And of course, the only thing I know about fighting fires is either putting a hose to it on the water or running down the street. So I leave that to the professionals to do. And so I appreciate you answering my question on how I know how I'm going to vote. So, but thank you, and I appreciate your input and your information on that. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Alderman Skidmore, anything else?
Oh, no, sir, that's all. Thank you. I apologize.
Okay. Alderman Roberts, I need to make sure that, so we made 2 changes to your motion, and you've agreed to both of those, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, 3 changes. I'm sorry, 3 changes. And you've agreed to all those, and Alderman Waters, who seconded your motion, agreed with those changes.
Right.
Okay. So now we're back on the motion to amend by Alderman Robertson, seconded by Alderman Waters. We're gonna call a roll call for this. Sure, so the sheet that you have in front of you, this is, that sheet is Exhibit B. If you look on page 113, second to last paragraph, it mentions Exhibit A, we're adding, and B. Okay? Now what Exhibit B says is, be it further resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, that age alone is not the only factor to consider when purchasing fleet replacements. The following factors will include but not be limited to also be considered as to either the early or extension of timing of fleet replacements listed in Exhibit A by order of priority. Does that need to be in there? By order of priority recommended, and number 1 is availability of new safety features. And then number 1 becomes number 2, number 2 becomes number 3. Did I do that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Annette, call the roll, please.
Collins?
No.
Dixon? No. Garton?
No.
Garza? Goodwin?
No.
Peterson?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Sassy?
Yes.
Skidmore?
No.
Waters?
Yes.
Clary?
Yes.
So 6
Okay, so that, okay, so that fails. Now we're back on the motion, which is Resolution 2023-11, as it is in your packet, page 113. Any other discussion on that? Alderman Sassy.
Just curious, what happens if this fails tonight? Do we not have money for new police vehicles and fire vehicles, or?
This
what would
doesn't
happen?
affect next year's budget.
It doesn't?
No, this is just a resolution. It's just saying that in the future, just like it says, that the fleet replacement schedule consideration shall be part of the annual budget process for the city, just like it says right there.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson.
The main motion. So the annual replacement fleet expense by staff is $2.1 million. So does that mean that the budget is going to be adjusted and that $2.1 million will be entered into the budget for fleet replacements to comply with this resolution? That's a question, I guess, to the sponsor. So do you intend, the staff is saying that it's going to cost $2.1 million to get on a 15-year schedule and a 5-year schedule. So does that mean that we need to amend the budget to include $2.1 million, and maybe less than what we're already spending?
So it's.
Jesse, how much more would we have to allocate to comply with this resolution, the spirit of the resolution?
The resolution says we consider it and does not say we budget for it.
Well, it says we consider, but if we want to consider it, if we want to include it, and if it's this big, if it's this so important, folks, we need to include it in the budget. We need to add 2.1 million or whatever is the difference.
Yeah, so right now we have a $180,000 buffer in for a fire apparatus replacement. To stick to this schedule, I think, do we have 2 vehicles up next year? 2 fire apparatus, and one's a truck, right? That's about $3 million between those 2 pieces of equipment.
$3 million. So 175,000 is not getting us anywhere near that. So don't we need to amend the budget to include this? And that's really not a question for the staff. That's a question for policymakers. So if we want to stick to this schedule, do we need to allocate? And I guess this is to the sponsor of the resolution. It's either important or it's not.
Hold on. Alderman Robertson, anything else?
That's all.
Thank you. Alderman Collins.
So, in my mind, what we would need to start doing is allocating for fire is the one that seem to be mostly concerned with. We need to start saving, what is it, 350,000 annually in order to get on track. I don't expect us to adjust within a year for a $3 million truck, but we need to start saving annually so that eventually when we need a new fire apparatus, we don't have to borrow money like we did this last time. And that isn't something that I would expect we could correct in one budget cycle or 2, but it's just something we need to be working towards. Is it 350,000?
Well, a new engine is about 800,000.
And so the annual for that?
Well, there's trucks as well, and trucks are, by the time we purchase our next truck, it might be 1.8, 1.9. I rounded it to $2 million to get us there. We have an engine and a truck coming up at the same time, and it happens to be within a year. So there's a big hit at one time because you have an engine and a truck.
Which is because we didn't save, we weren't doing this on a schedule, so they're not spread out. They're just we've sporadically bought.
Yeah, I think what we'd have to do is, if the board doesn't approve a $3 million expenditure in 1 year, is we'd have to stagger the purchases so we don't have one year where we have such a big hit, which is going to put one of the pieces of equipment to a longer year than 15 year if we stagger that back.
And then with police vehicles, I know we can't every year count on using all of the drug fund money, but how many potential can be purchased out of the drug fund? I don't know, I can't remember how much money's in the drug fund.
How much revenue do we get out of the drug fund on an annual basis?
Around 200.
So one vehicle. Yeah, so we're gonna hit 3 vehicles, based on tonight. We're probably gonna have a 4th or 5th vehicle that we're gonna hit out of the drug fund to get the general fund down. But it'll deplete that fund balance, and then from there on, we'll only be able to do 1 per year if we're collecting 80,000. Police is a little different where, you know, with a fire apparatus, you have a huge one-time expense that goes 15 years. There's so many police vehicles that every year you're gonna be purchasing them. So you're not really gonna set money aside in the reserve, you're just gonna purchase every year.
That's right.
So where you would set police funds, or I'm sorry, fire funds aside for upcoming purchases, police is just routine every year.
That's right.
Alderman Collins, anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Robertson.
So I want to know from the staff, how much do we need to put in this budget to accomplish the aspirational goal of 15 years and 5 years? I want to know the amount because I'm going to make a motion tonight to amend this to include that in the budget when we start putting together the budget.
Well, so half of it could be this year and then half of it would be next year.
Okay, so
Right.
if half of it, how much would that be?
1.4 million this year.
Okay, I make a motion to amend this resolution, that it's the purpose of this resolution to include $1.5 million in the budget for the replacement vehicles.
Fiscal year 23 or fiscal year 24?
24.
Okay.
24.
We have 180,000 in right now.
180, so my motion, because it's important, we need to fund this if we're gonna do it, and we're not gonna be able to pay $3 million next year, you know, to replace those vehicles. So I make a motion, in this resolution to specify that we should include $1.5 million for the purchase of those vehicles, for the reserve. So a public safety reserve vehicle replacement.
And that's for the fiscal year 24 budget.
24, that's right. I mean, if we're going to do it, let's do it right.
And just to clarify, we're not appropriating money. But
No,
if
it's
you-
a resolution.
There you go, exactly.
It's aspirational. So I make that motion.
So we've got a motion and a second from Alderman Waters. Any discussion? Okay. Annette, call the roll, please.
Collins? Yes. Dixon?
Yes.
Garton? Yes. Garza?
Yes.
Goodwin? Yes. Peterson?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Sassy?
Yes.
Skidmore?
Yes.
Waters? Claire?
Yes. Back to the main motion. Any other discussion? Alderman Sassy.
So by adding that 1.5 million, does that put us currently
Yes.
in the budget 3 million off the mark?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of, we'll have Annette call the roll. Resolution 2023-11, we have one amendment, it's the one we just passed, adding $1.5 million, adding a resolution from the board, adding $1.5 million in the fiscal year 24 budget. All those in favor say aye when Annette calls your name. Those opposed say no.
Collins? Aye. Dixon?
Aye.
Garton? Aye. Garza?
Aye.
Goodwin? Aye. Peterson?
Aye.
Robertson. Sassy. Skidmore. Waters. Clary.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Now we are on Resolution 2023-19. This is a resolution amending the job classification list and pay table. I so move. And a second from Alderman Robertson. Any discussion? Jesse, did we need to add something to this? So it's good to go? Okay. Appreciate that. Alderman Sassy.
So it had been discussed previously that we were not adding any additional positions to the budget. I'm just wondering, what is making these changes cost? Is it just?
It's cost neutral.
It's cost neutral?
It's actually a reduction of one position.
That's what I wanted to know. That's perfect. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 2023-19, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on other agenda items. Items 7, 8, and 9 are to be considered as a group. If anybody wishes to separate one, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion from Alderman Robertson to approve items 7, 8, and 9. That's the reappointment of Gerald Barrett to the Deer Herd Committee, reappointment of Mike Forrester to the Deer Herd Committee, and the appointment of Nora Kersner to the Deer Herd Committee. We have a motion from Alderman Alderman Robertson, and a second from Alderman Sassy. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on brief committee reports. Chairman Dixon, Finance Committee.
Mayor, we did not have a committee meeting this week due to unforeseen circumstances.
Thank you, Chairman Dixon. Chairman Skidmore, Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we did have our meeting this evening. We went over the trash collection update, and it has, for this month's meeting, it had met the acceptable limit where we didn't have to find them or anything. So I was very grateful of that, and I know the summer's coming, so we'll stay tuned for that. Our light synchronization update is ongoing. It's going well now. We're still in the process of working, so it is a working project. And looking forward to phase 2 when it becomes available. But they are working on that. And the same goes for the Saunders Ferry Greenway. They are working. It's on schedule, and we're looking forward to when that gets completed as well. I do want to say one thing about the Indian Lake closure, where they're creating the roundabout, and I want to let people know that from June 12th to August 20th, those are going to be the closure dates of that area for the roundabout. So if you're watching tonight, and you go into that area a great deal or something, those are the closure dates from June 12th to August 20th. And then we'll also do the social media thing, and then also put it on Channel 3 to let everybody know of that date. But I'm excited to get that done because I think it'll resolve a lot of the traffic things. Now, I do want to talk about a little bit, not a lot, because of we don't want to break the law or anything like that, or hurt our position about the trash update. We are thinking about getting with staff and talking about how we're going to negotiate the possible keep saying traffic, I apologize. Trash contract. We are in the process of thinking whether we're going to extend it 1 year or not. And the staff, along with Jesse Eckenroth and Sarah Locke, are going to work with them, and they're going to be working with our committee. We don't want to see what the bids are or what the bids could be, because we don't know personally. But, and we asked the waste management what they thought that, what their rate would be, and of course, they couldn't say because it would query the deal with anybody else that wanted to bid on our project. But I will tell everybody right now that it will be, it's going to be extremely high, because the probably anywhere from 80 to 100% increase in waste pickup in the city of Hendersonville. So I want to let you know and want to warn you that, or let you know what we're going to be dealing with in the future. We're going to come back, when is it, Sarah, about a month? We're going to come back in a month and have further discussions with about the waste management situation we have in Hendersonville. So I do want to let everybody know that. That's very important. It's important for every single ward in the city of Hendersonville, trash pickup, because we've all had calls on it, and it's a very important thing that Public Works does within the city. So other than that, those were the things that we discussed this evening. We adjourned at about 5:46, and that is all, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman Skidmore. Jesse's report for all of us is in the binder, but he wants to highlight a couple items. Not so much him, but I asked him to.
Not in the report so much. Jason, if you'd pull up the graphic on the screen, this is what the Saundersville road closure graphic. This is what Chairman Skidmore was talking about. We had the option with the contractor to basically have this go 120 days or just under 60 days. We chose the option just under 60 days, so that'll be a full closure right there of Saundersville. And it's between Sam's Club and a Hobby Lobby. So we have went around to the businesses there and handed out maps and given them information for the city engineer. There will be signs up in the area, and then PD is going to be working the area really heavily for the first week or two to monitor traffic in that area. But that will be a significant improvement, but it will be closed for up to 60 days, mostly outside of the school times, and we will work to mitigate the impacts, but there will be some impacts. If you'd go to the next slide, please, Jason. Can you go to, there we go. Okay, for limb and brush collection, can you make that any larger, please? We've been getting a lot of questions at City Hall. This winter was pretty brutal. There's a lot of dead shrubbery, so there's been a heavy load for our limb guys to go around. This is right on our website. You can go to departments, you can go to Public Works, click on limb and brush collection. You can send an email. If you would hover over that email link, we'll send this out to BOMA too, because you might be getting questions about it. But if you scroll down, it also gives you where we're at. So it breaks up the city into 3 areas: the Walton Ferry Peninsula, which is at the top of the screen, Indian Lake Peninsula, and then north of Gallatin. And it tells you which zone they're in. So if you look at Walton Ferry Peninsula, they're currently in zone A4. They moved from A4 to A5. So the map is routed. It's numerically routed, so they'll go for A4, A5, A6, A7. So you can also let residents know about when they would expect limb pickup in their area. So we'll send this to you, as you might be getting questions on limb pickup.
Jesse, how often is this map updated?
It's usually every other day, sometimes every day. We say 24 to 48 hours on here, but typically we do it almost every day. It takes 4 to 6 weeks for everyone to get around, for us to get around the entire city. And then when there's been like really bad freezes this summer, everyone has a lot of brush out, and we're just getting over picking up from the windstorm. But we're on schedule, we're running, the guys are going full steam. And if there's issues, just send us an email, let us know.
And I will say on this, and I apologize for interrupting you if I did, I've had several calls, asking Public Works for help, and I've told them what the problem that we've been encountering, and most people have been understanding. And I really just let the public know, and I appreciate that very much, because sometimes they haven't, you know, they're very colorful with their language in the city. And, but they've been pretty well-mannered about the understanding of the troubles we're
Yeah,
having.
we have good guys out on our limb crews. I did a ride along with them one day, and
Yeah.
I got down and, tried to work the claw.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
a mess, right? It took me like 30 minutes to pick up a stick,
I know it.
and then the operators get on it, boop, 5 seconds later.
Hold on, 1 second, Jesse. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. Jesse, if I'm looking at this C section, that's more Ward 6 and 3. Is there any way that we can put on that screen at C6 now, and they're going, which way, where are they going?
Well, they'll go to C7, so they'll just go in numerical order. So they'll go from
They leave
C6 to
6
C.
and go to 7 and 8?
Yes,
so
sir.
forth?
Yes, sir.
But there's no way I can tell, I can look and say, well, they did C6 today, or this week.
Yeah, so it's at the top of the screen where we're highlighting right there. It says the current zone is C8, so it'll let you know the current zone they're in, so you'll know where they're moving to next.
Got you, thank you. One more thing, getting back to that runabout, are they the same people that worked on that entrance to the pizza place right down the street? That is a nightmare. You know what I'm talking about?
The roundabout's going to be a great improvement.
I say, I hope they're not the same ones that put that exit and entrance into the pizza, Papa John's there.
I think that was a different contractor.
That's something I would do.
And then the last thing on here is just a bit of good news. Casey and the mayor and Sarah and Trace have been working hard on our clean team, and I think News Channel 2 picked it up last night, so this is just a clip of our clean team.
Hendersonville is working to put its best foot forward. They just launched their very own clean team. These are city workers dedicated to keeping Hendersonville looking its best. Mayor Jamie Clary says that a clean city is important for residents and also for attracting new businesses. And it's not just the 380 miles of road that they'll be focused on.
But we also have 26 miles of shoreline. And that always causes some trouble because we end up with trash on our property that is coming from hundreds of miles away up the Cumberland River.
Now, if you see something that the clean team could fix, you can report it to the City of Hendersonville website.
So great job.
Alderman Robertson, a question?
Thank you.
Question, Jesse. I would like for your report to include in the future, once a month, the number of fire calls that we have made out of the city where we go into the county, or I just like to kind of get a better feel of the calls that we're having to go outside the city limits. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Alderman Sassy, a question for Jesse?
Nope, motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, a second. And a second from Alderman Dixon. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Thank you, we're adjourned.